What's up, my friends in film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us a little bit of your time. And the big question is this movie worth the hate? As someone needs to turn down their shit. That's probably Jeremy. But usually it's me with the audio flub at the beginning of the show. It's nice to know it's somebody else this time. But yeah, is it worth the hate? The Flash has been out. The movie that has gestated for almost literally a decade is now here, and we are finally able to talk about it. Here to talk about it with me tonight are my usual co-hosts. Of course, my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Not much. Whether this is an alternate timeline of me or possibly a scroll of myself, but we'll talk about scrolls later. I don't know. I'm doing all right. You know, I like to. I just know when I like to play Subnautica, I like to play on a proper licensed, not sponsored, Sony PlayStation 5 controller. Just a word of advice.
And then on to the other guy who was just telling me he swears he will never go down a submersible ever again after the news that has dominated the airwaves the last couple of days. Is the shape the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
You know, there were so many pop cultural references in Jeremy's intro there. I'm going to have to speed back in time and erase that because that was horrible. So, you know, we're going to need to run that one back there, Batman. So, but, you know, one thing I was going to say was, you know, Frank texted me earlier, and I may have misquoted, but I can't remember if he said he's nuts or he wanted to get nuts. I can't tell. I'll have to go back and read the text. But, I mean, we'll figure it out one way.
You mean you're going to watch this movie
What's
again?
Up, No. I would rather go find the Titanic than watch this film again. So, you know.
You have to find it. Somebody already found it. You're good.
We can get a Kickstarter going. That's we just need $250,000. Yeah.
I'm gonna dive down and find Rose's necklace that she chunked down in the water down there and get rich. It'll be good. So, no problem.
Oh man.
Yeah, so make sure you donate heavily to the show tonight. If you do, that goes towards the proceeds of helping Tex achieve his dream of going diving down the Titanic with Ocean View, whatever the hell company this is.
Right.
Next charity stream is him on the submarine going down.
Yeah.
Put me on the next tin can, you know, controlled by Walmart video game controllers.
I told you, I got the hookup right here. I got you.
You know. Well, to be truthful, there's probably some ex-girlfriends that would love to see me drown, so you could probably just talk to them and they contribute. But you know, it is what it is.
And we hit our goal already. Holy crap!
Thank you for the $250,000 donation from Texas.
Right,
girlfriend. Yes.
It came in a flash. I mean, it's funny how that happened. You know what I mean? But
let's get down to it. We already got some people in the chat. What's up, Mikkel, who was in here a little early? AJ, hello. BJ, always wonderful to see you in there. MK Kratos, Rachel, all in here. Let's get down to talking about this film. And we're here, of course, to talk about The Flash, which is a 2023 American superhero film based on the DC character of the same name. It's produced by Warner Brothers Pictures and DC Studios, along with 12 or 14 other distribution companies, as that works in Hollywood anymore. This is the 13th installment of the DC Extended Universe, the DCEU. The film was directed by Andy Muschietti and written by Christina Hodson. It stars Ezra Miller as Barry Allen, or the Flash, alongside Sasha Calle, Michael Shannon, Ron Livingston, Kiersey Clemons, and of course Michael Keaton, who for the first time since 1991, I believe, is 1992, is under the cowl.
Year I was born, baby.
Is under the cowl playing Bruce Wayne and Batman. In this movie, this basically follows the Flashpoint storyline from the comic books, where Barry travels back in time to prevent the death of his mother, which of course brings a lot of unintended consequences and flips the DC universe on its ear. It changes a whole lot of things. A really great. Let's start with the cast first. I mean, I can separate the art from the artist. Let's get the hard one out of the way first. Yeah. I'll separate the art from the artist. I've always liked Ezra Miller as the Flash. His performance has never bothered me at all. I kind of like what he did with him. I actually did the Flash review with American Werewolf New Jersey a couple nights ago. If you guys want to check that out, his link is in the description below. But I can't really knock the cast of the movie at all, except for one thing, which isn't really the actor's fault. But, you know, Ezra Miller, obviously, he's the big topic. He's one of the biggest things that affects this movie. I don't know. I'll go to you first, Tex. I know you have some strong feelings about Ezra Miller, mostly because of his off-camera situations.
Yes.
Totally valid thoughts, I'm sure. But, I mean, just what are your thoughts on the way he portrays the character?
you know, when we were first introduced to him, obviously in BVS, we got what, a 1 minute scene where he runs in and Captain, or no, not BVS, Suicide Squad, excuse me. The first one in 2016, and he's arresting Boomerang or whatever. He was fine there, but he speaks for maybe 10 seconds. Then we get Justice League and Justice League. And I've never been crazy about the portrayal of this version of the Flash. This is, I very much so prefer the more Grant Gustin CW Flash. I think he's always been a better Flash, Barry Allen. But just in this one, it really highlighted to me how unlikable this guy is. Even me, yes, I'm very outspoken about what a child groomer piece of crap this guy is. But I just don't find this guy likable. He's awkward. He's quirky. He's not Barry Allen. It's just, and I know it's artist interpretation, fine, whatever. And it's a multiverse, so you can have 15 of them. It's just like, I mean, I commented on American Werewolf stream. I said, Ezra Miller has the charm of a cold sore. He's not a leading man. And in small doses, he works as the Flash, but not as the leading film. And the only thing worse than one Ezra Miller is two. So I'm sorry. It's just unexcusable. He's horrible in this role. I don't like it.
I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think? Let's stick with Ezra Miller, then we'll get on to the rest of the cast. Do you like his portrayal of the character?
I think I agree with Tex more so on this as well. Like I think Barry, even in the movie pretty early on, even says that he's like, oh, I feel like the janitor. I just feel like I'm here doing, Batman's out there he's chasing the guy down on the highway while I'm sitting here definitely not throwing babies in the microwaves. Stuff like that. But
they actually put a kid in the microwave with him and his problem.
Now
I thought that opening, we'll talk about the opening sequence in a minute. But
it's like I'll get there. But it is kind of I totally forgot he was in Suicide Squad. He like comes in.
That was his introduction. Yeah,
because he says like no honor amongst thieves or something like that, and then I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he does kind of work as that, like he's there, but he's not like a main focus. And I don't know if he really needs to be. I guess it's not like the Flash isn't important because, like we said, we've seen with Grant Gustin, like he makes an amazing Flash. I, from a distance, very recently saw this man at a Comic-Con, and I'm like, man, when I tell you his line was insane, people love the guy, and I'm surprised he didn't show up. But that was probably a good move on his part. It would have been kind of funny if, like, at the end, all of a sudden it wasn't Ezra Miller and it was Grant Gustin, and that would have been your mic drop. That would have been awesome. But no, we can't do that. I don't know. I understand the need for, like, he has like an annoying, more immature version of himself that doesn't have powers because he never went through the trauma of having to lose his mom and his dad being put away in prison. So I get that there's supposed to be that struggle of dynamic there. And of course he gets powers. He has no idea how to use it. And of course, our Barry loses his. So from a character standpoint, I understand it, but it's like, I understand he's supposed to kind of be annoying and obnoxious, but I don't know. It seemed a little weird trying to carry a movie all by himself. Obviously there was somebody who was, a better part of the movie who I think we were all actually there for.
He should have been a bigger part of the movie. Good God. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. I've liked Ezra Miller's version of the Flash. I mean, I didn't want it to be just a copy of what Grant Gustin was doing in the TV show. I like the fact that they were different. Grant Gustin seemed to be a little bit more put together from the jump, the way he portrayed the character. Yeah, he had some growing pains, and I think that's a lot of what drove the first couple seasons of the show was him kind of figuring out how to be the best Flash he could be, the best superhero he could be. And then eventually he grows into the role and he's mature in it all. I kind of like the way they portrayed him in this. I mean, I was talking on American Werewolf New Jersey's show the other night, how he makes that reference earlier in the movie that he's just kind of the janitor, the cleanup man, or the annoying. I call him the annoying little brother to the rest of the Justice League, and I'm kind of like that's kind of what this Flash is. because we're seeing Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne has been around for a while. We're not getting Batman Year One from the DCU. We didn't get that. We got a Bruce Wayne that had been around a bit. I mean, you saw, obviously you see the Robin thing. And that guy's been through a lot of the travails that we've read about for years in the comics, seen in the movies and TV shows. Superman kind of just fell into his role. He did it just great. Diana's been around for roughly 100 years now, so she's been doing what she's doing for a while. And then whoever else they bring to the Justice, Aquaman's kind of already a little bit put together. Cyborg, yeah, a lot of his growth, well, the little bit that we've actually gotten of him, a lot of his growth has kind of come off screen or came very quickly in the one movie we got to see him in. So these guys were all already kind of at their zenith of understanding what they are as superheroes, whereas Barry's still trying to figure some shit out. He's got this thing on the side. I want to try to get my dad out of jail because I know he's innocent. He's got whatever relationship that should have tried to start but just didn't with Iris. He does have a job, and then in around all this, he's trying to still be a little bit younger than everybody else, still have that youthful life, but at the same time, he's mixing a superhero thing in there. So I kind of get his confusion and his lack of control over his situation. But that's one of the things that I kind of like about his portrayal of it. Like I said, Ezra Miller's not a bad actor. He came up pretty quickly because he got a lot of critically acclaimed roles in a lot of different movies, and I'm digging it. But again, the behavior turns a lot of people off. There's other things we'll talk a little bit later on. There's other things that turn a lot of people off to the movie that I think aren't indicative of actually how good the movie's put together and how good the movie was done and how good the actors were. I think it's a little bit unfair, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But let's talk about the rest of the cast first. I mean, we'll get to the one that we're going to talk most about in a minute, but I want to talk about Iris for a minute. No, I almost called her Colby Smulders. That's for tomorrow night's show.
Wrong one.
Yeah, Kiersey Clemons, who played Iris. She wasn't in the movie at all. Why put her in the marketing at all if she's not going to be a significant part of this? Because one of the things that a character like that does is it grounds the superhero character to a regular kind of person's existence so that we can relate to that person a little bit easier. I can't personally relate to Barry Allen because my mother didn't die tragically in some weird murder. I don't have superpowers. My dad's not in jail and I'm trying to figure out how to get him out. I can't relate to him at any of those levels. And that's kind of what the Iris character does for a character like that. But she's not in this movie at all. She's in the first few minutes and the last few minutes. And I really wanted her to be a bigger part of this. Jeremy, was that kind of a bummer for you? Did it take away from the movie at all? Because it kind of hurt it for me.
A little bit, because it sucked. Because I think didn't she say like, "Hey, haven't I seen you before?" And he's like, "No." I'm like, shit. Yeah, it sucks that she kind of bookends I mean, not that I expected her to be in the when he goes back in time, but I think really the only thing she kind of helped move along was him thinking, oh wait, I could fix this by just simply, because he apparently doesn't know how the butterfly effect works, even though he literally said it to Batman like 10 minutes before that, just moving the can of tomatoes. So it's like that kind of gave him the kick he needed, because like you said, he's in school, he's doing his job, he's trying to get his dad out, he's got all this stuff going on, and it doesn't really have time to be working on his personal life like that. So the one moment he gets with her, I'm like, well, at least it was productive, I guess. But I don't know, especially since we'll get to the end of the movie, I'm sure. But since where this ended, I'm like, well, then what was the point? Like, why was she in there then? I don't know.
Yeah. Tex, I don't know. Did her role matter to you at all in this movie?
Well, I mean, considering we've got 3 Batman, a Superman, a Supergirl, multiple Flashes, there's not much time left for little old Iris West at 2.5 hours. There's not. The Flashpoint storyline could have been 2 films to be done properly, but they decided to cram it all into one, and unfortunately, something had to be sidelined. So the love interest that, yes, I mean, Iris West is a huge character for Flash. I mean, Frank's right. She keeps him grounded. She's the news reporter. She's whatever. But unfortunately, with limited screen time for a theatrical release, something's got to go. And she was one of the things. I mean, she was cut from Justice League as well, So this is the second time they've done this to her. But, I mean, I know Andy Muschietti said that there's a 4-hour cut, I believe, of this film. 4.5 hours. I can't remember exactly. I'm sure she'll probably have more in that one, maybe. Who knows? But, I mean, we're going to see it because The Flash has made no money. So they're going to sell you 15 cuts of this film to try to recoup some losses here. So
release the Muschietti cut.
Yeah, the Muschietti cut will get started, but it won't have the legs that the Snyder cut crowd did, I promise you. But yeah, I don't know. There wasn't much meat left on the bone for her, considering you had so many big names around. I mean, and I mean, considering the Flash show just ended, people got Iris West, maybe their fill. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Yeah, pretty disappointing that they didn't use her a little bit better. But now let's get to the other superhero kind of in the mix. Somebody who I really, really hope they use going forward, because I really liked the way she looked, was Sasha Calle playing Kara Zor-El or Supergirl.
Yes.
She was good. Yeah, I think she absolutely killed it. I mean, I was anticipating her being good. But I mean, if there's somebody that steals most of this movie away from Ezra Miller more so than Michael Keaton, I think it's her. I think she was just a killer representation of the character. I don't know if you guys listen to Michael Rosenbaum's Inside of You podcast, but Gunn was on there a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week or so ago, and he said that he pretty much said that there are more plans for her in the future. It makes me very, very happy because I really, really like her portrayal. I like the fact that she's a little bit darker than Kal-El, a little bit darker than Clark. Because there was a hot minute to where, I mean, you knew that she wasn't, because, anybody who's ever read the comic book or has ever watched a movie knew that she wasn't going to turn heel or anything. But there was a brief moment where she was just like, you guys have been holding me in a cell for God knows how long. Why would I want Zod to not kill you guys? And just leaves. And for a minute, I was kind of convinced. I was like, I feel like she's honest about this, like she's not coming back. I really liked her portrayal as Supergirl or as Kara. I think she's one of the better parts of the movie. Tex, what did you think?
I was very surprised by this role because, I mean, yes, I know the look that she has in this film is canonically based in the comic books. I've preached on this many times. I want my characters on screen to look like they do in the comic book. But I wanted something more of a traditional, the blonde-haired Supergirl, the more predominant one. Even though this is, like I said, canon, comic-wise. I was very surprised by her in this film. I very much enjoyed her role. The role of Supergirl is always, I mean, she was always sent to Earth to protect Kal because she was like, I think comics wise, she was like a teenager while Kal was a baby. But as Krypton's exploding, she gets caught in like a black hole or whatever they want to do. So when she finally makes it to Earth, Superman's all grown up, and she's not the idealistic Superman. She's different. She's the protector. And I think Sasha Calle did well. I was very surprised. I'm not crazy about the suit. The middle of the suit looks weird to me. I don't know if it's like the fake ab thing that they did. I'm not really sure. I'd like to see a change to the suit, but I do want more of this character. That was a negative for me that we didn't get more of her, but yeah, I was a fan.
Yeah, again, I think she steals a lot of this movie. There was there's a darkness that I like about the DC stuff that Marvel doesn't have, and I think sets it apart from Marvel. And I really hope they explore that more. And I think that she plays that very, very well. And on top of that, I mean, her dialogue delivery and everything, I thought was great. She didn't miss a beat in this movie at all. I mean, especially towards the end when you really could have kind of gone with basic superhero crap. She carries that all the way through to the end of the film. And yeah, I thought she was fantastic. I really hope we get more out of her. And I highly suggest that you guys go watch Michael Rosenbaum's podcast. It's about an hour and a half long with James Gunn. He talks a lot about filmmaking and stuff like that. He does talk a lot about the future of the DCU and some of the things that he plans on doing. And he talks about Sasha Calle and this movie and stuff like that a little bit as well. But he does say in there that there are plans for her moving forward, which makes me very, very happy. He doesn't say when. He's not giving up a lot of stuff just yet, but he did say there were plans for moving forward. That makes me very happy. Now, I mean, let's get to the real star of the show here. I mean, Jeremy, how do I even lead into this? I mean, This is one of the things that drove this movie by and large, was the fact that he was coming back. Jeremy, this is your guy. You're in full uniform as always. What did you think about the return of Michael Keaton? Was it everything that you wanted?
I mean, like, I don't care if I even saw the trailer. He just had to say 2 words. You know, walk out there and just say, "I'm Batman." I'm like, I'm in. I don't even care. I'm in. Oh my God. I mean, I'm to be fair, I'm with the younger Barry. Like when they find first of all, you saw the old Wayne Manor. I'm already like getting chills. I'm like, oh shit, there it is. You know, if they're going through the Wayne Manor, and I would have ripped that dust cover off and said, holy shit, like it's the Batmobile. Oh my God. I think aesthetically my favorite Batmobile it's either the Keaton Mobile or the one from the Arkham games. Maybe the City is pretty sweet. Or maybe it was Arkham Knight. Yeah. Oh boy. It's like he never, like we just said with Supergirl, it's like this guy just doesn't miss a beat. It's like he never, well over 30 years now have passed between the last time he played Batman, and it's just like you just feel like you could have watched Batman Returns and then watched this and been like, yeah, just give a 30-year time gap. But yeah, you can believe that. If they're going to get anybody to lead this whole charge, I mean, why not Batman?
Yeah, Andy Muschietti did a fantastic job putting all this together and making Michael Keaton. I mean, he gives Ezra Miller a chance to carry the film, that's how it should have been, because it's ultimately his movie. But he did make Michael Keaton in that version of Batman a very important part of what was going on without having him kind of run over the film. Although he is probably the most significant part of like the third act. Without Barry, doing all the stuff, he's probably the most important part of the third act. He's certainly the most watchable until you get into the time dome. But we'll get to that in a second. I don't know, Tex, what did you think? I mean, the return of Michael Keaton as Batman. How did that all work out for you?
Keaton was, he's solid. Just like Jeremy said, he knows how to play his version of Batman. Now, it's not my favorite version of Batman, but that doesn't mean it's not good. I've said it before, but Michael Keaton created Batmania in '89. Go back and look at how nuts everybody was about it. But I was kind of, I know I'm in the minority on this, but I was kind of disappointed when Keaton was cast in this film, because I wanted to see Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Thomas Wayne Batman. I was dying to see that. He was cast as Thomas Wayne in BVS, everything else. And I know they did Flashpoint differently. Actually, I think they did Flashpoint terribly, if you want my real opinion. But, as far as Keaton himself alone goes, he did solid. That shot where, you just showed there of all the bat suits. I was just like, come on, put that blue and gray one on. Wear that one for me. Please, 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 please. Like,
it's washed out by Michael Keaton in the picture, unfortunately. But yeah, I know what you're saying.
No, it's over. It's the second one from the left. Second one from the left. It's right there. Yeah. I don't like that it's got the '89 bat symbol in it, but that blue and gray just looks sweet.
At least they did fix that. To be fair,
right? It's got the whited out eyes and it's blue and gray like a comic Batman. That's great.
I was gonna say, I immediately noticed that one because aesthetically, that's one of my absolute favorite Batman looks. Is the
I'm dying to see. I'm hoping I'm hoping in Brave and the Bold we get a blue and gray Batman. I'm tired of all black. Batman does not wear an all black suit besides in the movies. I've never understood this. What is so hard about that?
He's the Knight.
But I don't know. But no, I've been back to the point. No, Keaton's solid. Keaton does his lines. I did think it was a little cheesy you want to get nuts? Well, let's get nuts. He just
come on. He's got a little bit of camp still. Come on.
That line I thought I think you were reaching for a little bit of the campiness. You were Easter egg that wasn't entirely necessary, because you already hit us with the "I'm Batman" line. Yes. And I thought that was very well placed. And it seemed like they were reaching a bit for that line. It worked, but it seemed like they were reaching a bit. I feel like that's the one you should have put in the trailer and save the "I'm Batman" for that pop in the theater when you see the movie for the first time. Right. I thought that would have been the way to go.
Not just that, but how did they not include "Tell your friends about me"? That's the other famous line from '89. I mean, if you're gonna do all the cheesy lines, well, why not go full bore here? I don't know. It's just Keaton saved. If it wasn't for Michael Keaton in this film, this movie wouldn't have made any money because nobody's going to see two Ezra Millers. I can tell you that right now. They pulled deep to get Keaton to save their butts, and they knew it. That's why he was all over the marketing and everything else. Now, my one gripe that I had with this is, I'm sure y'all know the rule of film or theater where if you show a gun in Act 1, you have to use it by Act 3, right? You know, that's kind of how the plot works, everything else. You showed us the '89 Batmobile. You did the unveiling scene, whatever. You had a Flash that didn't have superpowers. Why not take the opportunity to do the Hulkbuster thing where you had Hulk wearing the Hulkbuster in Infinity War, have Barry, when he doesn't have powers, driving the Batmobile going into battle or something? You know, you have to rewrite the movie, yes, I know. But it felt so cheap to not see the Batmobile in action in this film. That, to me, seemed really weird. However, I know we got the Batwing.
I said the Batwing, and they did the thing in the moon again. I mean, come on.
Right.
That was another nostalgic beat that I was like, yes.
One shot of the Batmobile. One shot of the Batmobile. Everybody would have loved it. That to me seemed like a very missed opportunity. And the other missed opportunity was not having two live action Batman meeting on screen. They should have done that in this movie. They had the opportunity. Have some like
more than one.
Huh?
They had more than one Batman in this movie. I mean,
yeah, but they didn't. Right? No, but I mean,
I know.
But have it to where, like, you know, when they're in the world's collapsing scene, there's just a quick flash of Affleck and Keaton, and they're just like looking at each other.
We'll talk about the time dome here in a minute because there's a whole
like there's just when it
I know what we're going to talk about. I know damn well what we're going to mention.
I don't know. It's just like I said, Keaton was good, but a couple missed opportunities with the Batworld. That's all that I thought. But Batman had a terrible fake beard, though. They need to spend more money on his mustache next time. That thing looked like crap.
Dude,
just
the funny thing when we went and saw this movie, Jennifer leaned over at me at one point. She goes, "Was that Nicolas Cage?" And I'm like, "I'll explain it when we get out of the movie." I'll explain it in a minute. Hold on.
I can't wait to talk about that one. That one.
Yeah, that deserves kind of its own breakdown video, that whole scene. But I mean, the basic plot of the movie obviously is the Barry going back in time and fixing everything. I appreciated the chaos that came from it, but I was hoping for more chaos. Let's see. Actually, on the subject of more Batmans, we've got Enviro Earth 2 saying that the Christian Bale should have been in it. You know what? I'm willing to bet they reached out to Christian Bale.
I thought about
and that he did. And that he probably said no because he's known to be a bit of an ass. He's known to want any movie he's in to revolve around him. It definitely would. Honestly, I mean, that the whole thing at the end of the movie when we'll talk about this more later when Clooney pops out of the car and says, "Hey Barry, what's going on?" They have their interaction. Christ. A lot of people said that should have been Christian Bale. I would have been fine either way. Yeah. I was a bit confused about Clooney getting out. I was like, why would you go that route when you really could have gone almost any other route? But
I have a whole page of notes just on that one scene alone. I will be ranting. Fair warning.
But Enviro Earth also says that Jack Nicholson Joker would have been a cool cameo. Yeah, but I mean, the timeline that we're at, he finds him, he's dead. They do have the laughing box he finds, which I thought.
That's what I heard a Joker laugh. I thought I only watched this once. I couldn't stomach it anymore. I thought I heard a Joker laugh. I wasn't for sure.
Well, when Barry's sitting at the Bat computer, the normal Barry from the regular universe sitting there, and he walks up with that bag with the laughing machine. That's the one that is laying next to Jack Nicholson at the end of Batman '89, where he's laying there dead after falling from the building.
I thought so.
That's the laughing box that he had. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, that's such a great callback. So yeah, I mean, so the Jack Nicholson Joker is dead at this point that we see that particular Batman, but that's still, if you could award that cameo, and I wouldn't have been upset. I mean,
they should have put a T-Rex and a big penny in the Batcave too. They should have done that just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, in the Time Dome, you actually hear what's his name? Not Burgess Meredith. Who played Joker in the '60s Batman?
Cesar Romero.
Cesar Romero.
You can actually hear Cesar Romero's Joker laugh at one point in that whole.
I was gonna say, I think when we saw, I mean, apparently I'm the only one who saw it. A quick flash of Adam West. I saw the gray suit, and it said, I think he said a line. He's like, "Oh, only the Joker would think of something like that." And I saw him run by. I was like, hey, that was nice.
Well, I'll be, the CG, yeah.
But I ultimately though, Jeremy, was this a good incarnation of Flashpoint to you? I thought it worked pretty well for what they were trying to do in the Snyderverse before the Snyderverse kind of imploded and is now becoming a new thing. But I mean, did it work for you ultimately? Was it a good representation of that comic book series?
I guess given what they were trying to do, and again with all the crap surrounding Ezra Miller and all the, I mean, just the DC EU in general being an absolute mess. I don't know what I would have done, but I don't know what if I could have done anything different. Assuming that there are more plans later, like they said, they have more plans for this version of Supergirl, which is awesome. I mean, given that I almost just said that, I'm like, well, I was like, maybe nothing more with Michael Keaton's Batman, but I'm like, well, yeah, but we just saw what happened to her. So obviously, as we know with comic books, death doesn't mean a damn thing. So, spoiler.
Yeah.
Spoiler, death doesn't mean shit in comic books. Trust me, that's the whole point of Flashpoint is him trying to save his mom from dying. So, that's totally what I was talking about. I don't know. I guess we're working with what you got. I mean, even if what you got is PlayStation 1 graphics, but I mean, hey, whatever. I know this would have been a logistic nightmare to actually get all the people, which again, I know we're going to talk about the time dome, but all those people that, I mean, some are actually deceased in real life. So you got the balance of like, well, we bring them back, but also people that are still living who portrayed these characters. You can't probably get them all there. So...
But this isn't a Flashpoint movie, though. Flashpoint has the Flashpoint paradox. Yes, it's a story about Barry Allen, but Reverse Flash is, I mean, technically Flash is the bad guy in the Flashpoint paradox, but Reverse Flash is key for this film, or not film, but story.
I thought the younger one was all of a sudden going to become him. I don't know why. I thought maybe younger Barry.
That would have been nuts. So stupid if they would have done that.
I just thought like
even more.
Hey, they had old decrepit Flash too, so I mean,
right. Well, then they completely cut out the war of Atlantis and Themyscira, where you had Wonder Woman fighting Aquaman. You completely cut that out. That's what I'm saying. The Flashpoint paradox. It was a Flashpoint event that literally started the New 52 in DC Comics. This thing was massive. It was a huge event. It was in-game levels. You could have split this into 2 films and been just fine. But they cut out so much of it, and they gave you the CW did a better Flashpoint than this was. All this is just a terrible version of Flashpoint held up by cameos of better DC in the past. This is all this was. This wasn't a Flashpoint movie. It was a cash in to try to recoup some money that they've lost over the years.
Well, it's really, really hard to do a direct adaptation of a comic book into a movie, and that's one of the reasons why Marvel doesn't do it at all. I mean, because Marvel is not a direct adaptation of anything from the comic books. They pick these little things from the comic books and they build their movie universe around them. They're not direct adaptations at all. I mean, because in Iron Man 3 was supposed to be kind of like their version of the Extremis stuff. That's kind of what he was going for. They kind of messed with the Demon in a Bottle storyline for Tony Stark and Iron Man 2. They're not taking these things and and then taking them directly from the comics to the screen, because that's a very hard thing to do. But I mean, visually you can do a lot of stuff, but storytelling, it happens a lot different from 15 pages of a comic book to 2 or 2.5 hours of a film. So you can't do direct adaptations. Also, you got to remember that there were certain plans for this universe when they started writing this movie and when they were filming this movie that have all been turned upside down at this point because
this is the 3rd or 4th version of this movie that they've had.
Oh,
they went through Frankenstein this thing.
I think something like 6 different scripts of this movie, from what I
read. This is not the first version.
4 or 5 other people wrote scripts, and there was a lot going on. But I mean, what script they were going with, I don't really know. But I mean, they wanted to fit it into the Snyderverse as it existed at the time. They weren't really planning it for what's coming, which is one of the things I think has hurt the movie financially, is that people are kind of like, why am I going to spend money to go see this movie when I know that it's ultimately fruitless? I mean, there was no there was a post-credit scene, but there was no, which was kind of, it was funny, but it didn't really mean anything. But we'll get to it in a minute. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to get, emotionally attached or otherwise to this film, because it was the end. We know that there's probably not going to be any more Ezra Miller. We know there's probably not going to be, there was going to be more Flash probably somewhere down the line, probably not any more Ezra Miller. But I think that's one of the things that hurt, is that it wasn't the story of the movie so much as it was, why should I get jacked up about this movie when I know ultimately none of the stuff that I'm going to see in this is going to play out. And I think that's one of the reasons they made some of the edits that they made to it over the course of the last year, is because they were like, well, we're going to take out Superman's cameo because Henry Cavill's leaving, so why bother putting him in there? Because that was one of the big knocks on Black Adam, is you had him come down the post-credit scene and say, hey, we need to talk, and that's it. That's the last time we're going to see him in Superman costume again.
But see, here's the thing, though, when it comes to that, Warner Brothers, I don't understand you people. You sit there and say, we're moving on from Henry Cavill, right? Then you have a headless version of him in Shazam. You fully show him in Black Adam. In this film, The Flash, you use his movie, Man of Steel, and villain Zod as the main bad guys in this. But Henry Cavill, we don't want him anymore. Fans just move on, quit talking about him. I don't know why you're bugging us about this whole hashtag thing. It makes no sense. It's like they tease us with it and then they pull it back out. I don't understand that. If you're moving on from Henry Cavill, fine. Never speak of him again. Never show him. Never show his movie. Cool, I can deal with that. But quit playing back and forth. That's so stupid.
Well, you're not moving on. You're moving on from Henry Cavill. You're not moving on from Superman.
Yeah. Right, but you're using his Superman. That's my point, though.
Well, I mean, they did and they didn't. I mean, they only show him from his back for like half a second on TV, fighting a volcano.
Right. That's the problem. Is Henry Cavill can't be in this movie except for the backup.
And in the movie, they tell you that Kal-El was killed on his way to Earth.
Right.
That Zod finds him. So, for the purposes of this movie, Kal-El never lived. So, I mean, I don't know. Part of me thinks that they should have just went balls out with the fan service. Go ahead and put Henry Cavill's cameos.
Andy Muschietti. I was reading an interview from him a couple days ago. He had carte blanche, full access to any DC character that he wanted to put in this film. He could have put, or maybe not like a Heath Ledger Joker, but like a Jared Leto Joker. He could have put anybody that he wanted. But there's so much that he left on the table, and some of the choices that he did make. And I mean, we'll get into the cameos in a minute, but it felt, I don't want to say incomplete, but it felt like it was half-hearted, I guess, in kind of especially with the Cavill stuff,
Enviro Earth actually brings up Jared Leto as well. He says, what did you guys think of Jared Leto's Joker? He could have been in the Flash, as there were multiple Batman. Yeah, I mean,
that'd been great. I love Jared Leto's Joker.
See, yeah, he also says he feels like Jared Leto's Joker was better than the Snyder Cut, but his laugh was all.
100%.
I was gonna say that too. Yeah.
Everybody who plays a Joker is gonna put a different spin on it. But I mean, I really like Jared Leto's Joker. I wanted to see more of him. I don't think we were able to explore that character much. I think Jared Leto is the kind of actor that would really have gotten into that shit and made that role special. But
he made it special.
Yeah, he made it special, but he made it interesting. He made it interesting enough that I wanted to see more of him. But things probably aren't going to work out that way unless for some reason, Gunn and Safran decide to reach out to him and say, "Hey, we kind of."
I still want to see the scene of his Joker and Harley Quinn killing Robin. That's the one thing out of all the Snyder stuff. That's the one thing I really wanted to see to actually have that killing joke moment. I think that would have been really cool.
I think we would have gotten to that at some point eventually, if not in a flashback, maybe even.
I think it would have been in the solo Batman
prequel.
I guarantee it would have been in there.
I hate to say a prequel because I'm not a big fan of prequels, but I mean, maybe we can even go on that route. Maybe they could have given us some build up to what Batman would become instead of just giving us this old grizzled Batman. But he's also sharing some thoughts on Ezra Miller. When Ezra Miller strangled that girl in 2020, they should have recast this. That was before they started filming in 2021. They made their own bed. I agree with that to an extent, but the problem is if you guys have seen the video of that whole choke slam of the girl, right? It looked very odd. It wasn't like a WWF like choke, like, you know, Andre the Giant
from the top rope,
somebody choke slamming somebody.
Right.
It was like he picked her up and laid her down. It was very odd to me. I don't really know what that was, but
it wasn't even just that. It was everything that he's done from the stuff with the 12-year-old.
Well, no. Remember, none of that stuff came out until after the movie had started shooting. None of that. A lot of that stuff didn't even happen until after the movie started.
I don't know the exact timeline.
So to say that they should have recast him on the one thing, it's like, come on. Lots of people do really stupid shit, as dumb or more dumb than what he did with that girl in Iceland, and they end up moving past it and making a movie. I mean, look, everybody loves Christian Bale's Batman.
I was gonna say,
for being easy to work with or for being a kind angel on set, but I mean. At one point,
to be fair, he was in the Terminator Salvation movie. That would kind of piss me off too. So
yeah. I like that movie. That's actually my favorite Terminator movie.
But
I really enjoy that.
But yeah, I mean, it's so you can only really do so much until a lot of stuff goes wrong. And a lot of the stuff that happened with Ezra Miller, the personal stuff, the legal stuff, the thing in Hawaii that we talked about ad nauseum, breaking into somebody's house to steal their expensive liquor, all that stuff happened after filming was done. So you couldn't really do anything with it at that point. And I've heard a lot of people try to compare it to, well, they canceled Batgirl. Why didn't they cancel this? Well, there's one particular reason that a lot of people just gloss over. They said Batgirl was bad. Because they
just wasn't good.
Well, yeah, no, they said Batgirl was bad. I mean,
no.
Also,
I've seen the stuff. Yeah.
It wasn't finished yet either, right? It was like you could have canned that easier than you could have canned this movie.
Oh yeah,
he already filmed so much of it. There's so much you'd have to backtrack on. It wouldn't have made sense to. No, I get that.
Yeah, the thing with Batgirl, the reason they canceled Batgirl, not Saffron and Gunn, but Zaslav, he even said, he's like, that movie's so bad it's gonna hurt the brand. Like that movie's bad. Whereas people had seen stuff from The Flash, they were like, this is really good. Maybe we'll put this out and make whatever money we can make off of it. So look, they took something like a $90 or $100 million loss on Batgirl. That loss on Flash would have been easily 3 times that. And the $90 or $100 million loss is bad enough, but to take that $200 million, if not more, loss on Flash would have.
From what I've read, it's well over $300 million that they've put into this film from reshoots and everything over time. I don't think anybody knows the actual number, but it's massive. It's huge.
I don't know. A quick Wikipedia check, and I know it's Wikipedia. Right now, it says the budget was between 2 and 220, 200 million to 220.
Yeah, but I don't know if that takes into account everything.
That's not including marketing, which generally speaking, they probably paid $100.
That's probably another $100 million
for film, at least.
Oh.
So yeah, there's always that. But I mean, yeah, you can't just. I mean, like I said, the $90 or $100 million loss on Batgirl was one thing, but a $200 to $300 million loss in this movie, that would have been something that financially you never would have recovered from. And I don't think, and that's a much easier pill to swallow. Not that it's easy to swallow at all, but it's much easier.
The problem is, I mean, isn't Warner Brothers Discovery like 500? Is it 5 billion or how far are they in the hole? Like what's the number? I can't remember.
Who is the Warner Brothers or DC?
Warner Brothers, yeah.
Warner Brothers. Oh, I don't know. As a whole, they're taking a significant loss.
It's massive.
Everything. But
either way, it's a massive debt.
That was expected, though. Zaslav came in and said, "I'm going to do all these things, and it's going to cost us a lot of money the first year." Because
it's just, I mean, you talk about doing damage to the DC brand. I can't think of anything worse than putting out 2 versions of the guy that everybody hates in one film, and you expect anybody to go pay for this movie?
Well, again, the film was good.
It's no wonder. You know?
Everybody who had seen this film ahead of time said the film was good, whereas everybody who had seen dailies from Batgirl said this shit's garbage. It's like you at least put out. From the few behind the scenes shots of Batgirl that they let out, Batgirl's costume looked like it came from Spirit Halloween. And Batman's costume looked like it was some rubbery latex knockoff Wish version. Like it didn't even look right. Now I would love to see the shots of Brendan Fraser as Firefly. I would like to see those. There was one shot I thought that had come out.
I never saw it. I saw him in the costume, but I never saw a scene. But I don't even think they finished the CGI.
I don't know. I saw a thing he was on, like, he was a talk show or he was interview, and he was talking about, he seemed really excited about it. He was like, that would have been, he's like, it was fun. I enjoyed it and it was cool. I'm like, you took it from us.
Well,
at Director Krennic, I'm like, we were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
Well, not to mention that whole world. Well, you had Commissioner Gordon from the Snyderverse, but you had Michael Keaton, obviously from a different universe. So that film would have had to have took place after this one, because otherwise the timelines wouldn't have meshed. Because the Commissioner Gordon was the same one from Batfleck, not Keaton's. I saw the way the worlds would have had to be constructed, it would have had to be after a Flashpoint event, because otherwise it doesn't fit. You know what I mean?
It's like a big plate of spaghetti, right?
100%, yeah.
But
you're not wrong. Yeah.
Let's talk about the cameos while I load this picture of. This is from UK Daily News. I'm hoping this is an accurate picture and that it's not bullshit, because it looks interesting. Let me load this one up real quick.
See what you got.
I'm not sure if this is a legit picture or not. It looks a little. What is it? Where is it?
Legit picture. What is it of?
Of Brendan Fraser in costume as Firefly. What did I just do?
Oh, it's Firefly. Who knows? I mean, from the images that I saw looked like it wasn't like iPhone camera. It was like somebody had some sort of digital camera or something that I guess they had in the background or something. It was a shot on the street, the one that I saw.
What did I just do with it? I thought I put it in that folder, but apparently I didn't.
Because besides Brendan Fraser, I think the only other live action Firefly that we've ever got was in the Gotham TV show. And they did the girl version. It was like season 3 or 4. I can't remember. But we've never had a live action Firefly before. I know Brendan Fraser was a fireman that had the accident. So like his suit was meshed to him, like, the whatever. But
save it again.
Oh, I can't remember. Who played her in Gotham. I don't know, but I know they did the female version.
Oh, that's right.
It wasn't too bad.
I actually saved it in my file for the Secret Invasion thing we're going to be doing tomorrow.
That's Enviro Earth says, did Teddy Sears cameo? He says he didn't. And when you look at that older Flash, I don't think that's Teddy Sears. I mean, do y'all think that was him?
I couldn't really tell. That CG was really fucking with me. I don't.
Oh no, dude, the CG's got awful. Ant-Man 3 looked better than this movie did, and that's saying something.
Okay, so
this is MODOK level bad.
Yeah, MODOK wasn't good at all. But this is apparently a picture of Brendan Fraser in Firefly costume from the set of Batgirl.
Okay.
This is from.
See, that looks cool.
That's pretty close. Yeah.
It's from UK.
Firefly's not a. Yeah, I mean, Firefly's not like a super advanced, rich character. So I mean, it looks like a reasonable costume. I mean, that looks cool. What we need to get back to more practical stuff. I know we live in a world, everything has to be CG, but more often than if you look at CGI from the early 2000s, like the Lord of the Rings movies in that era, that CG looks better than what we've got today, and they spend more money now. I don't understand how that comes out. Maybe they're just different stuff. I don't know.
My favorite comparison is always Birdemic and then the birds. I'm like,
dude, yeah.
Hitchcock made that shit in the 60s with none of and that looks infinitely better than whatever the hell you tried to. I mean, I don't know. You could have found something a little better, done something more practical, and it's like it can be done. Trust me, with no CG, no computer effects, and you can make a terrifying movie about birds that try to kill people. So,
look at the way the CGI was like when Flash was saving the babies in the opening scene or whatever, right? And he goes into Flash World mode and everything slows down. everything looks like squared off and blocky, and it looks bad.
Those babies were nightmare fuel, man. You should have left it in the fucking microwave.
But the fake baby from American Sniper movie looked more real than those things.
That's because it was a real thing.
That's why it's a joke. But you get my point.
Like, it was fake, but damn.
Right, it looks bad. It was just I don't know what happened.
I don't know, Tex. Maybe they didn't have the budget to actually throw some babies out of a window and film it.
Well,
maybe.
if they would have asked Ezra Miller, he probably would have done it for free. He's a terrible human being. Oh, her baby's okay. I'll come out the window.
He'd have groomed him first.
Right, he would have groomed him. And then
honestly,
that's what
a little young.
That's how he rolled.
Maybe.
Honestly, you know what that opening scene with the whole babies falling out of the hospital reminded me of? It reminded me of like a scene from like Deadpool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
It was like the opening scene from Deadpool when it's like from the first Deadpool where it's like you're seeing the credits go through all the action and stuff on the bridge. It was very reminiscent of that. I actually kind of enjoyed the scene. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was more funny than action.
But that's what I was confused. I'm like, is this supposed to be funny or is this like, am I supposed to be nail biting? Because I'm like, I don't know. And I'm all for dark humor and fucked up shit, but I'm like, that's a little in bad taste.
Me too.
You're just gonna really? Okay.
You don't
Awkward.
When you have somebody who has done child grooming, you don't do a scene with them to start your movie by putting a child in a microwave.
I don't know.
What is wrong with you? Whoever thought that was a good idea needs to be fired immediately.
Maybe it was supposed to be goofy because it was getting intercut with like I said, with Batman chasing those guys down the road. So I'm like, that's that's some heart pumping action. You're watching Batman do his thing, and then he's tiptoeing, throwing a burrito, fucking munching on that, and then catching babies as they fall. So I'm like, this is supposed to be funny? Because
Rachel says if you can't make your own baby, store bought is fine.
Yeah. Apparently they just fall out of the sky. They're just giving them away for free.
Well,
actually, the scene that I thought was kind of I don't know if this was shot early on in the production before a lot of this shit went down with Ezra Miller, but like when he's getting ready to run at the beginning of the movie and the one teenage girl's like, "I love you," I was like, that scene right there doesn't feel the same now, knowing what Ezra Miller
one too.
I feel like maybe you should. I feel like maybe instead of saying "I love you," she should have been like, "I'm a big fan" or something like that.
Couldn't they have had, if they wanted somebody to have the Flash? Or have somebody tell the Flash that they love him, have Iris West, who's a grown adult, and not a groomed 12-year-old say it. Maybe then it would have been okay.
I mean, it was a funny scene, but like in retrospect, I can look at it and I'm like, it's not it's a little cringy. But I mean, let's talk now about the endless cameos. I mean, because it wasn't way more than I can't call what Michael Keaton was in this movie a cameo. I mean, he was a significant part of this movie from when he gets in to the very end. He is very, very important. Ben Affleck was a bit of a cameo.
Right. So unfortunately, he was the best part of this movie for me. Ben Affleck should have been in more. I love his Batman.
I was going to say,
make no bones about it. He is the number one Batman, and I will argue with anybody about that.
How about that bat suit he had on in the beginning of this movie? Kind of some Frank Miller shit.
It looked very Thomas Wayne. Yeah. It looked very Thomas Wayne, but did y'all see the close-up of the nose of the mask? He had like
a shaped
nose. It had like a pug nose. It was like shoved in. It looked odd. And I don't like that chest plate. That chest plate to me looks so weird on that suit. I don't know. They already perfected his bat suit. Go back and use the one from Batman v Superman. Perfect suit. No, there's no complaints with that. Just go use that one.
I get that this one looks a little more tactical, a little upgraded. It does kind of have that. I mean, it's a gray and not quite blue like the cowl and cape there, but you kind of got the yellow.
It's got like a blue tint
belt
to it.
Yeah, I'm like, I dig where it was trying to go.
But the thing with the thigh straps, though.
Hey, at least I was staring at the nose and not distracted by some bat nipples. I mean, at least I'll take the pug nose.
Oh no, we will be talking about bat nipples. I promise you, be yelling. I will be yelling here in a minute. But
let's make that the poll: pug nose or bat nipples.
With Affleck's bat suit in this, obviously it's inspired by Thomas Wayne Batman because I mean it's got the straps over the thighs. But the reason why Thomas Wayne's had that was because that's where he kept his pistols. This Batman doesn't have any guns. Why does he need those things?
He's got
That
guns on
makes
his
no sense
Batmobile
whatsoever.
and on the bike.
Right. Well, don't even start the whole Batman and guns argument. We'll be here for 5 hours. And
He is an older Batman. Remember, older Batman don't give a shit. He will shoot you.
Oh, I agree. Hey, I was arguing the other day. Batman should use guns to kill people, but that's a whole different.
He does eventually. I'm just saying.
I love Ben Affleck Batman. I wanted more of him, and I didn't get enough. And why in holy crap did they close out with who they did? But whatever. It is what it is.
Hey,
so here's
never leave the house without it.
Here's the poll. What bothers you more, Batman's pug nose or bat nipples?
Yes.
If this poll is not 100% bat nipples, I have lost all faith in humanity. Okay, I'm telling you right now. So,
but I'm going to vote bat nipples just because of the meme. I mean, that's too funny.
Bat nipples, good. Bat nipples, good.
So, to the chat, guys, what bothers you more, Batman's pug nose or bat nipples? If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you go vote there. But I'm actually bothered more. What am I going to vote for? I'm going to go pug nose.
I'm not going to vote. Obviously I can't vote. I'm on my phone. I don't have any other deal, but I will verbally vote bat nipples and hope my faith in humanity is restored. But, yeah.
The nose was a little weird. I was like staring at it when they were like, hey, look, there's Wonder Woman. What cool. But I was
you don't notice it until the scene where he's smiling, talking to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, he's like straight on, and I'm like, what the hell happened
to
that cowl, dude? I'm like,
it looks like that cowl was like, it looks like the one you buy from Spirit Halloween, and it's like oversized, right? And it was too big for his head, and it kind of caved in on itself. Is what it looks like.
I thought he hit his head or some shit trying to like fight those guys or something. He just did that. I was like, well.
He looks like in that scene where he smiled at Wonder Woman, he looks like he smelled a fart, and it's like awkward. And like he doesn't know how to handle it. It looks so bad.
Then nobody can handle the lasso of truth.
Right.
I actually thought that scene was really funny too when she saves him from falling off the bridge, and he's having that honest moment.
I could probably do more for what did you say? I could probably do more with my wealth or something. I can't remember the line now, but no, it was pretty good. Yeah, it was.
He could have made a better bat submarine. Let's be honest.
He could have.
Yeah.
I bet you the bat submarine would have made it to the Titanic with no problems.
No, Batman, yeah.
But yeah, the cameos. We'll go to the Bruce Wayne one at the very end first before we really delve into all the stuff that we could talk about in the Time Dome. At the end of the movie, when all is said and done, Barry's dad gets out of prison. Everybody's in the happier place if they wanted to be at some point. And then Bruce calls and says, "I'm on my way," so on, so on. And he gets out of the car, and there was that moment where the foot gets out, and in walks one of the worst performances of Batman ever in George Clooney. Now, look, it's not that George Clooney's a bad actor. He's been in plenty of great movies. But his Batman and Val Kilmer's Batman are the ones that a lot of real Batman fans just do not talk about. So
Schumacher Batman doesn't exist.
Yeah, so Tex, I'll go to you first. What were you thinking when he pops out of the car? Was it excitement? Was it confusion? I was a little bit of both. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, I wish I could Speed Force back in time just to see my face when that part came in the movie. It was this confused excitement. I was like, I don't know how to feel, but this is kind of awesome. I don't know. Tex, what did you think when you saw Clooney getting out of the really expensive car?
I'm sure Tex walked out of the fucking theaters. What happened?
when I went to see this film, it was opening or Thursday. It was the first day that it was out. There was maybe 12 people in my theater, and when I saw Bat Nipples on the screen himself, I verbally out loud said, "Are you effing kidding me?" Loud, not even quiet. And there was like half of these people were children that were in my theater, and I didn't care. I just let it out. People turned around and looked at me. I was so mad. Why are we I understand Muschietti and whoever bright idea it was to make this movie. George Clooney killed Batman for a decade. Now you're going to end this one with that guy? You could have put a cardboard cutout of Adam West with Burt Ward behind it voicing him, and it would have been better than Bat Nipples on screen. That was the absolute worst decision they could.
Actually, isn't Burt Ward still alive? Couldn't he have walked up and been like, "Hey"?
Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah, he's still alive.
He could have walked up and been like, "Hey, my name's Dick Grayson. I got somebody you should talk to."
Well,
I'd be like, "Oh, what?"
Okay, here's the thing. I understand they want to do as many big cameos and holy crap, look at who we brought back as possible. We're ending the Snyderverse. Okay, you have Ben Affleck, you have Henry Cavill, and Gal Gadot. She was already in this movie, and so was Affleck. Why not one last shot of the DCEU Trinity standing there all together? They started this thing, they ended this thing. How much better of an ending scene would that have been than George Clooney standing there like an idiot, smiling because he knows he is the worst Batman of all time? Is it for shock value? Is it, what's the line from Jurassic Park? Just because you can doesn't mean you should, or something like that.
You didn't stop to think just because you
time.
could. Yeah, you didn't stop to think if you should.
That's the perfect line. That's the perfect line when it comes to this thing. Why? Why do you have Clooney here? This makes no sense. He doesn't need to be here. If you wanted to put him in your little worlds clashing thing where you saw everybody else, fine, I can forgive that. But you're sitting here telling me we have Batfleck in this movie, and you give me Bat Nipples. Automatic failure. Burn this movie, never watch it again. No, thank you. Flush this turd and flow. So, adios.
Yeah, Jeremy, you just put in the chat that Kilmer could have done it because of his health.
Well, not that he needed to speak. I mean, he could have got out of the car and nodded to him or something. I'm like,
but we're in the age of deepfakes, so it's not.
We just watched a whole deepfake in them damn Thunderdomes of time.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you managed to get in the Time Dome, or whatever the hell it is. You had Adam West Batman running around. You didn't just use cobbled old footage that they had to show that all these kind of exist on different planets.
George Reeves.
Yeah, George Reeves rolling around in there. Yeah. It's like, honestly, I think that when Bruce called, this would have been if you would have wanted to put Kilmer in there instead of Clooney, which I think probably would have gone over a lot better since Kilmer. Yeah. I mean, everybody's emotionally attached to Kilmer.
I would have been fine with Kilmer considering everything. I could have forgiven that, but not.
I think that when he calls that phone, it could have been a FaceTime call, and he looks at it and says, "Oh, Bruce Wayne's calling," and he hits answer. And you could have done some computer shit to make it be Val Kilmer in a not having to deal with the health things that he's dealing with now in real life, saying, "Hey Barry, what are you doing?" And he goes, "Who?" And he says something like, "Who the fuck are you?" And he goes, "Yeah, what the hell's
to be fair, good drop of an F-bomb. That was perfect.
Oh yeah, you get
what the fuck is this guy?
They only get one for a PG-13 film,
and it can't be related to the act of sex. So they use it just fine in that movie.
I would have been fine with the kid who played Bruce Wayne Batman from the Gotham TV show over George Clooney. I'll take any. Go back and get the guy that did the 1940s serial Batman. Get him to deepfake him into this movie. I don't need George Clooney anywhere near this. George Clooney killed Batman for me.
Okay.
Here's one of the things you got to think of, though, and I'll not in a bad way. I'll point this at Jeremy because his generation. It's like me and Jeremy argue all the time about the Star Wars prequels. But there is a generation of people that's the Star Wars they grew up on, so they view them differently than our generation who.
I prefer the prequels, actually.
So
I know I'm in the minority.
So I understand that connection because my connection is to the stuff that started in the 70s, and Jeremy and some of the the kids that are teens now, even that was kind of that was how they were brought up on. Yeah, that's how they were brought up on Star Wars, and I get that it was kind of a different generation that got attached to Clooney and to Val Kilmer, that maybe we're just a bit too young and just barely missed the Keaton stuff. So I get it. And there were things about that movie I thought were fun, but they weren't what I had grown accustomed to in the Tim Burton, Michael Keaton films, which I thought were very good because Batman and Bruce Wayne and that whole world of Gotham City is a very dark environment. And that was a very dark film that played to Tim Burton's filming style. Because look, I've said it on here 100 times. I'm not a big Tim Burton fan. He's either make really good movies or really shitty movies. There's no in between with him. Not for me. But there are a lot of Tim Burton sycophants out there that love everything he makes, and that's fine. But that's kind of where it deviated for me, and that's why people who grew up on the Keaton and Burton stuff didn't really appreciate those movies. So I get that if you're just throwing fan service in there, which is a lot of what the last part of this movie is, especially after
This
the
whole
final
movie was
battle,
fan service.
especially after the battle is over, like the epilogue of it all, from the Time Dome forward, it's really all just fan service. So I mean, why not throw a little bit of Clooney in there? Just to, I mean, look, you've already given us the image of Adam West Batman. You've already given us the first Reeves. What do you say?
George Reeves.
Then Christopher Reeves.
And Chris Reeves, yeah.
And then Christopher Reeves, and then
Supergirl.
Oh, Supergirl, and then
Nicolas Cage.
which nobody's really attached to that. That's an inside joke that you gotta know.
That was great.
But
there is one thing y'all are forgetting about that Christopher
Reeve. Why not
Reeve.
Clooney in there though?
When it comes to the Christopher Reeve part, real quick, let's not forget Brandon Routh is technically the same Superman that Christopher Reeve was.
Yeah,
but he's still alive.
True.
Yeah, but he's not Christopher
Reeve.
True.
But you could
also fair.
You probably should have had him in this movie somewhere. If you're going to go back and do all the Superman stuff, because Brandon Routh, he's the Superman that plays in the CW world. He, besides the Superman and Lois show on the Arrow and on the Flash, it was Brandon Routh, which is technically the same Superman.
That's why it was called Superman Returns, because it was supposed to be him. He was
Superman Returns is technically the same character. I know, obviously, Christopher Reeve, you want his visuals in there, but it felt, it kind of felt cheap to me. I got to be honest. I know why they did it, but it was like, oh, this doesn't sit right. You know what I mean?
I loved it. It was blatant fan service. I have no problem with blatant. Look, let's be honest. Most of Avengers Endgame is fan service.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, like 60% of that movie is fan service. The other 40% is the actual movie, and it worked out great because when fan service works, it works great, and it worked for the 90% of the fan service in Endgame worked just fine. And that's kind of what this was. Is that Time Dome? That was a big moment of fan service. I mean, and they got really deep in it with the whole Nicolas Cage bit.
I love that. That was incredible.
I saw the long hair, and I was like, "No!" If he turns around, and it's fucking Nicolas Cage. I'm like,
let's talk about the Time Dome for a minute before we move on to kind of like the future of the franchise and some of the trivia. I mean, Jeremy, were you just like hoping that they would slow the projector down just a little bit so you could take it all in? Because when I first saw like Adam West Batman, and then the moment where Christopher Reeves kind of flies up, and then the one girl, I can never remember her damn name. She's been
Helen Slater.
Helen Slater, that's right. Yeah. Kind of rolls up next to him. I was just like, oh man. I mean, you're getting to the 10-year-old me right now with some of this shit. And then of course they had like a few visuals of like Cesar Romero's Joker, and then other stuff and things like. That to me was just fantastic fan service at its best. It was kind of, to me, a little bit of an homage to the history of DC on camera, not just comic books, but on camera, all the stuff that has been on TV and movies over the years. I mean, I don't know. Give me some of your quick thoughts on that whole Time Dome experience.
It's like you said, that's the moment they're going to rapid fire all these fan service moments at us. And it's like, yeah. I am someone who I'm looking all over the damn screen. So I'm looking for everything. So it's something that I would definitely go back and be worth trying to watch again to see if there's something else I catch or someone else I missed. Because I would get excited if I saw, because I started to realize the theme of them. I'm like, oh, there's a black and white one. I'm like, oh, who's that going to be? That's going to be from way back. And then, you see George Reeves, you see Adam West Batman. Apparently I'm the only one who saw it. It was real quick. He was off on the right side of the screen. He just whoop, ran by. But yeah, it is just, I mean, again, even though it looks like a PS1 game, it's still fun to see them popping up as they do. And I'm like, I shouldn't ask because you don't ask. Why is Nicolas Cage fighting a giant spider? I don't care. He's doing it. Like, that was that's when we collectively lost our fucking mind. Like, that was, I was like, I knew it. Damn it. That's all right. You got me. I mean, you were tugging at the heartstrings with going back to like the 50s, 60s. And then you threw that in there because it's like, well, we could have had that. And that's all we're getting now. Damn it. I mean, that could have even been comical. Someone could have him turn around and pause it there and do yep, that's me. You're wondering how I got in this situation. Let me tell you, just beating a big spider to death.
I am really excited for this movie to come out on Max, just so I can watch that time dome scene and play it like in slow motion, so I can really pick apart the stuff that's in there. Because I guarantee that I missed a ton of shit when I saw it in the theater. There's probably so much shit in there that you can't see until you really break it down frame by frame.
Yeah, just like when you said Endgame, it's like if you look at when they all come through the portals, I'm like, yeah, there's Howard the Duck, and right there you can see him, right? That little speck. Sure. I mean, I'm sure he is there, but I didn't see him. Yeah.
I wish, and I would have forgiven so many things in this movie if they had physically done Nick Cage as Superman. Like, have him come through a time portal, like holding one of the spider legs or something. You don't have to show me the whole spider. Like, awesome. It'd be like, he just got done fighting it, right?
He's just like, hey, what's up, guys?
And he's like, I mean, and have Nick Cage talk so we can get him speaking, because that's the whole point of this. And he's like, oh, how did I end up here or something? And like, oh, Nick Cage, you just have him go crazy with it or whatever. That would have been so good. And I mean, then you can kill him off, and somehow he explodes. I don't care, whatever. Do what you want to do. But I would have loved to have seen that. And Tom Welling and somebody in the comment section, I forget who it was.
I was gonna say, what about Tom Welling? Yeah.
They let's see. Enviro Earth talked about Smallville. I love the Smallville show. I watched all 10 seasons. I remember the season finale night. I stayed home on that Friday or whatever just to make sure I could see it. I wanted, because they paid homage to Tom Welling on the CW shows, but it would have been cool to see him be recognized here. I think he earned it. But one thing I wonder about is, what other cameos did they leave on the table in that 4-hour cut that Muschietti said he has? There's going to be more.
I was wondering if we were going to see Linda Carter for a hot second as like, I've been like, there she is.
From what I've heard, there was a lot of shit planned that either didn't get filmed or got cut. Because we talked about it on American Werewolf New Jersey the other night on his channel. There was actually 3 different endings filmed, and as I recall, one was the one that we got. They actually filmed that last in January.
The other one was Keaton and Supergirl.
January of this year. The other one was Keaton, Supergirl, and Flash.
Yeah.
And I think Wonder Woman may have been involved. And there was another one with Wonder Woman and Superman, with Henry Cavill Superman. And they ended up going with this one. That was the one that was filmed last. It was filmed in January of this year. And it was kept under wrap. Actually, one thing I realized the other day when I was watching somebody's channel was when they did the early screenings for this to the critics and to some of the early fan showings, at the end of the movie, they didn't show Clooney getting out. That as soon as you see his foot come out of the car,
showed his feet.
That's where the movie stopped. So they were trying to keep that kind of under wraps. They did that obviously to keep the.
Well, but it leaked like 2 months ago that Clooney was in this movie. Like.
Yeah, but in what capacity though? I mean, because we were doing a whole multiverse or multi-time, whatever,
right.
They were doing.
Well, I remember the first channel I saw it on was Geeks and Gamers. That's the first one I saw it on. Then I saw Critical Drinker talking about it. Then what's that blonde chick, Grace? Oh, what's her face? Grace Randolph or whatever. I can't remember. She was the main one that dropped that Clooney was in this movie. Like 2 months before anything. And I think we all kind of expected it, whatever. But it's just, why end the DCEU on George Clooney? That feels so cheap to me. And I love him in From Dusk Till Dawn. He was great in that movie. That's my favorite vampire movie. But he is a horrible Batman. Horrible Batman.
I just mentioned in the thing too, it's like he makes a good Bruce Wayne. He's the good looking like billionaire playboy, but I'm like, but he's a bad Batman. Like that's the I'm sorry.
I'll say this. He is a good updated version of an Adam West, golly gee, boom, pow, zing Batman. That's what George Clooney was.
Throw me the bat.
He wasn't a serious Batman. Right. He was, he wasn't dark and brooding. He smiles too much to be Batman,
To be fair, I saw it was like an interview that popped up after I saw the movie, and it's probably algorithms working its magic. But Clooney was on there. It's like he's well aware. He's like,
Oh yeah.
He said Joel Schumacher, and they all came and he went, hold on. He's like, I thought I actually ruined that for everybody. he's like, I'm glad that
he did. He killed it for a decade.
He's like, it's not. He's like, it's what happened. I tried, but it's like we were talking about the Star Wars prequels. It's not.
Bro.
It's not Hayden Christensen's fault. It's not Natalie Portman's fault. They're just actors. They're given their lines. They're given their thing to do, and they're doing the best of what they're given. They can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, if we're being perfectly honest here, it was the studio that ruined Batman. It wasn't really Clooney.
Well, yeah, they made the toys, and they're like, all right,
because Burton and Keaton wanted to come back. Burton had this idea for a third one. They were like, we want something that's more kid-friendly that we can sell a lot of merchandise on. And he was like, that's not really what I want.
Yeah.
And then so it became, then we don't want you to come back. And Burton was like, fuck you, my career's going now, so I really don't need this. He bounced, and then Keaton said, well, if Burton's not here, then I'm bouncing. And then so it was the studio that fucked that up. It wasn't really Clooney.
And I was going to say, it's kind of like the thing now. It's like, now all of a sudden, here's the arc. Also given with the Obi-Wan show, now suddenly everyone's a Hayden Christensen fanboy. I'm like, no. You don't get to jump the ship now because you hated him back then.
Right.
Now you all adore him. Now you're like, oh, it wasn't so bad. Shut up. It was never bad.
Well, I mean,
to be fair, the fandom is toxic. But if we can get past, I don't like sand, and we can get past bat nipples, maybe that's what they were trying to do. That you can look back on it now and be like, yeah, that was dumb, wasn't it? But George Clooney's a great guy.
But okay, here's the problem, though. I mean, yeah, okay, I've always defended the Star Wars prequels. Let's see, when the first one came out, I was in
99,
8th grade.
Yeah,
something like that. I can't remember exactly. I was on the verge of high school when these were coming out, right? And I loved all of them.
School.
To me, if I want to watch Star Wars, I'll watch the prequels. And I know I may be in the majority now. I don't really know and don't really care. But there's a big difference.
You've always been there. That's the difference.
Right. There's a big difference in Star Wars prequels and Schumacher Batman films. Schumacher Batman films. Yes, Clooney, okay. Clooney didn't I've said it 15 times jokingly in this podcast, but yes, obviously Warner Brothers Studio killed Batman with making a 2.5-hour gay joke for a toy commercial, which is what his movies are. But unfortunately, George Clooney, he's the face of that. It's not like we can blame Kathleen Kennedy for Star Wars, right? We have a name we can attach to.
We can now.
But we can now. But with Warner Brothers, we don't have that. So it gets attached. George Clooney, it gets put on him. And it doesn't help that he comes out in the media and says, I'm sorry for Batman and everything else. That's why he gets blamed. He was the Batman of that world. Val Kilmer he was a bad Bruce Wayne, but an okay Batman.
That's what I'm saying. They have that weird duality. They're like opposites. It's so weird.
I don't like Batman Forever. I mean, Tommy Lee Jones' Two-Face is more Joker than Two-Face. I don't really understand him, whatever.
Yeah.
But whether it's fair or not, it is that George Clooney gets left with the bag of responsibility, for what happened, And I don't need to ever see him in a Batman again. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Oh, Frank's still top.
No, Casey was wondering where his invite was. I'm like, well, it's in the mail.
It's over there. Yeah.
Of course, my autocorrect corrected to the male of the gender.
Oh, wait, Casey, your invite went to my trash can. Sorry, you want me to give it up?
Cowboys trash can.
Circular files, yeah. But look, I mean, let's talk a little bit now about the future of the franchise. I mean, obviously, the Snyderverse is going to be wrapping up with Aquaman, which comes out in November. I don't really know how this is going to impact Aquaman. I don't imagine it's going to be that impactful. I mean, even despite the post-credit scene, which we'll talk about a little bit at the end.
First of all, Tamara Morrison, I love you. Came back just for the one scene. I'm like, yes. All right, I'm fine now. I'm like, we're good.
It was really cool to see him again. I was like, oh yeah, this is one of my favorites. Just to see him on screen made me very, very happy.
Yeah, see, we got him for real. So yeah.
Yeah. But I also love the fact that he's like, is Arthur there? He's like, my dog?
Right. He's like, your wife's not the Queen of Atlantis? He just looks forward like, no. Right.
I thought that
what did my wife do on her bed? Oh my God. Something like that. That would have been great.
But let's talk about the future of the franchise. I don't know what the future is for the Snyderverse past Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Yeah, I don't know what the ending of Aquaman is going to look like. Is this really going to kind of sum up the whole Snyderverse? I still one of the things that really aggravates me about James Gunn's kind of process and some of the things that he said is that he's let Cavill's going away.
Wonder Woman.
Affleck's going away. We don't really know about Wonder Woman. Now, remember, a lot of people said that Wonder Woman has been canceled and Gal Gadot was out. That is not what Gunn and Safran said.
Yeah.
What they said was that the script that Patty Jenkins turned in did not fit where they wanted to go with the character. They did not say they want Gal Gadot to leave. They did not say they wanted Patty Jenkins to leave. They just wanted a different story that was going to fit in with where they were going. So that tells me that they want to keep her around. But that's part of my problem is you're going to let half the big cast go and then keep the other half. I don't really know what that means. Is this a reboot or not? Because I don't see how you can keep all of the, or at least some of the cast of the stuff that wasn't working and then call it a complete reboot. I just don't get it. I mean, Tex, where do you think this all goes? Because I don't think we're going to have a really good indication until after we see Aquaman in November.
I'll tell you what I think needs to happen here. DC, okay, Aquaman and Blue Beetle, it's not going to do well. Nobody's going to care because they know none of this matters. It's the same thing that happened to this movie. People going into
for Blue Beetle, he did say on Rosenbaum's podcast last week that Blue Beetle will be in his DCU.
Yeah,
but that will be
but what if that
movie forward? But that the first official movie of his DCU is going to be Superman Legacy.
Right, but what if that fails too? Then they just say, "Oh, well, actually, blah 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 blah." Either way, I don't think either of those films succeed. What DC needs to do, DC needs to go away for about 2 to 3 years. Stop making movies. Give everybody a break. Hard reboot. No more multiverse. The multiverse, it doesn't work in this live action thing. The people can't handle it. In Marvel alone, you've got Loki and all of these different variants. Now Deadpool's going to have its thing. It's too much. We need all fresh, all new, one version of each character. Because if you don't, otherwise, people are just going to, oh, well, it's another film like Flash and Batman v Superman and Justice League and whatever. We need new everything to separate from what came before. That's the only answer. And hard reboot, not this plain patty cake soft reboot nonsense. I like this piece, but not that piece, blah, 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 whatever. Blow it all up and restart. And I know that sucks and we have to do it again, but you know what? Look at the mess we're in. It is what it is.
I don't know. Jeremy, what do you think? Where do you think we go from here?
I was trying to type a comment. Sorry. Hold on. We're talking about multiverses, and my phone is not cooperating with me. And I don't want to say for once in my life I mildly agree with Casey about something. Liking this movie.
Holy crap! Hang on, wait. I gotta feel that ground's not cold. Hold it.
I didn't hate this movie. I wouldn't say. I mean, like I said, I know what the best part of it was. The thing that I enjoyed the absolute shit out of. No, it was the Michael Keaton and seeing all these time domes, whatever the hell it's called.
Right.
But as for where it goes, that's where I was kind of. I don't know if that was just for shock value. I'm like, why is George Clooney here? Huh?
Right. And
I don't know if it was just for comic relief, maybe, but like his fucking tooth fell out again. I was like, is that like a joke that I'm like, wait, no, this is real. That did happen because remember he lost his tooth and it fell back out. I'm like, oh, if it would have fixed it, right? Because butterfly effect. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know because that's what I was wondering. Leaving the theater, I'm like, so now what do we do? I completely forgot about Aquaman, so I don't. Are we going to get more answers with that? Maybe because I'm like, well, if we're leaving this, and like he's like Frank was saying with Blue Beetle, I feel like Blue Beetle is supposed to kind of now be our starting like jumping off point. I mean, you even hear it. Almost says George Clooney again. Damn it! Now he's invading my head. George Lopez even says he's like, "Oh, Batman's a fascist." I'm like, so Batman exists. hold on.
But Batman.
Batman exists.
Yeah.
So I'm
Technically, now it's George Clooney. Yeah.
I guess, but I'm like, this scene,
Yeah.
Blue Beetle's kind of like, again, it seems like that jumping off point. He's not like I'm not gonna say he's like a big, like a Superman or a Batman or Wonder Woman, but I'm like, I feel like we're getting to somewhere. It's like, what's his damn name? Zachary Levi, Shazam. Where it's like, yeah, we're here and Headless Superman's up here. That's what this, like, Blue Beetle's here, and like, okay, we know these guys are in the world. So maybe by the end of this year, I don't know when does Aquaman come out? Was that November you said?
Aquaman's in November. I forget when Blue Beetle comes out.
When is I want to know when Blue Beetle comes out.
Is that next year or is it it's not Christmas? Right?
I think it comes out some point this year. Somebody in the chat, if you could go kind of Google that for me real quick. Let me know.
Because I was going to say, maybe by the end of this year, we'll maybe know the direction, because I couldn't tell you, given we have multiverses and Nicolas Cage Supermans.
I feel like it needs a break, though, don't you think? I mean, at least a year, maybe not 2.
If you think about it, we are going to get a good break before we actually see any of James Gunn's actual stuff, because we're not going to get Superman Legacy before 2025. I think now
it may not even be them with this writer's strike. It may be 26 at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just like the whole, hey, Linda Hamilton's giving me Stranger Things 5. I'm like, fucking cool. Who cares?
I'm actually
You don't know what's going to happen.
I want to see. Yeah.
That's great, but when are we going to get that? 2030? Jesus Christ.
Blue Beetle comes out in August. Blue Beetle comes out. Yeah. Blue Beetle comes out in 2 months.
Shit.
Wow.
So we're getting Blue Beetle, then we're getting Aquaman.
Then Aquaman. That's weird. Okay.
So that means technically George Clooney is the Batman of 2 films.
I swear to
God. Well, we don't know who's going to be the
Batman.
Batman
shows
yet.
up.
And December 20th is when we're getting Aquaman. So it's going to be Christmas time when we get Aquaman. So we've got this year we've got 2 more DC movies coming this year. Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom is not going to be a part moving forward, as far as we know. Right. They have said that Blue Beetle is going to be a part of it moving forward. So it's going to be at least another year and a half before we see anything even slightly related to the new DCEU. And for the record, Casey, you're not in the minority. Right now, Flash has got a 66-84 split on Rotten Tomatoes, for what it's worth. I mean, 66% of the critics. And that's out of 318 reviews. So that's not bad. And out of 2,500 verified reviews for the audience, it's got an audience score of 84. So the movie's it doesn't have a bad score.
To me, it sounds like that was an audience score of 89.
So I was going to say, I guarantee you the majority of the people like this movie because Keaton's in it, not because of anything.
Yeah.
That's the reason that's the only reason Casey likes this movie. He doesn't know anything about the Flash or the Flashpoint Paradox or anything else. He likes it because Keaton did it.
I mean,
Go ask him yourself. He'll tell you the same thing. To the casual comic book movie fan,
Now for the record, Batman 89 on Rotten Tomatoes has a 74-84 split, so it's slightly better in the critic reviews. There's only 82 critic reviews. I wish there was more. There really should be. The movie's 150 years old. But the audience score is pretty much on par, and that's out of 250,000 ratings.
Yeah.
I can't help but feel that Ezra Miller in his little pronoun game, whatever he identifies as, he's one of them too, so they're automatically going to bump that number up about 10 or 20 percent. But I think they just put this movie out, like you said earlier, to recoup as much money as possible. This thing sucks. I'll never watch this thing again.
As of yesterday, The Flash has grossed $66.5 million in the U.S. and Canada, $74.5 million other territories for a worldwide gross of $141 million. This movie is going to struggle to be profitable. But honestly, part of what's going on with it at the box office, to me, I just think that right now people aren't going to see movies the way they used to right now. I mean, because Elemental was a movie that was really highly touted by Pixar. That movie is very badly underperforming, and I've heard that Elemental's pretty good too. The Blackening, another spoof. I mean, those things only do so.
The Blackening is garbage too. A friend of mine went to see that. That's nothing but racial-based humor. That's all that is.
That was the whole point of it. It's the joke that they're all black in a horror movie.
It didn't miss its projections by a whole lot. Flash was projected to get between 155 and 165 million in its opening weekend. It made 141. That's not missing by a lot. And I'm hoping that the movie will have legs, and now if it hits like a 60-something% drop in its second week, I'd be really worried. But I'm really hoping that people were putting it off just to see if it was to hear word of mouth. Because I feel like with an 84% audience score and a 66% critic score, that some people are going to be like, okay, maybe this movie is worth going to see, and it won't have a huge drop in its second weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't argue that the Ezra Miller effect is huge on this thing. There are so many people like myself that are just going to outright hate anything that he's in because of who he is and what he's done. Yeah. I get the whole art and the artist thing. To a limit, there is so much I can separate as well, but not with this guy. This guy is absolutely toxic. Guy, girl, whatever he wants to be. He's a Looney Tune. He needs to be thrown in the loony bin and forgotten about. But we're going to pay him to pretend to whatever. I think that's going to have.
You said with Roman Polanski, like you'd never watch a fucking movie ever again in your life if you just took everything that everyone's done in Hollywood for that matter. It is too soon. I'm just saying, like, I mean, I can go back and watch.
No, I get what you're saying. No,
I can go back and watch Rosemary's Baby and be like, oh yeah, I forgot he did that shit in his life, but that was also in the '60s. I'm like, this just happened, so it's a little fresh on everyone's mind. So I kind of understand the negative. It's kind of
like the thing with Jeepers Creepers. I'm sure you know the guy that made it.
Yeah.
To me, it's a very similar thing with that. The second I found out what that guy did and who he was, I never watched another Jeepers Creepers movie again. And if you go look at the latest Jeepers Creepers that came out, nobody else went to see it either. I don't even think it made $20 million. But it's just, it's like you said, this is very fresh. He's out there. He's part of this whole alphabet people and everything else. And it's going to affect the box office. There's no way around it. And if Warner Brothers keeps him as Flash, they're crazy because it's going to continue, I feel.
Well, here's what, and again, this is Wikipedia, so take it for what you will. This is just a quick look. By October of 2022, a script for a sequel had been written by David Leslie Johnson, too many names, Mr. Too Many Names, who wrote the Aquaman films in the event that The Flash performed well, which it's kind of not. The script reportedly included Keaton's Batman and Callie Supergirl, which would make me happy. Warner Brothers was not expected to retain Miller for future films because of the actor's controversy and legal issues, although some Warner Brothers executives, and we talked about this earlier, were open to continuing with Miller by January 2023 since they've begun treatment. Later that month, DC Studio CEOs Gunn and Safran said there was potential for Miller to reprise the role in the new franchise in the DC universe, but a decision on the character had not been made. I personally think the decision's been made by Zaslav. He wants to move off him, but they're just waiting for this movie to make the money it's going to make before he says anything. Gunn confirmed that The Flash would reset the continuity of the DCEU and alongside Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom would lead into the DCU's first film, Superman Legacy, which right now is scheduled for 2025. Andy Muschietti said in 2023 that if he and Barbara Muschietti, his sister and production partner, were involved in a sequel, they would have Miller return and believe that there is none other actor who could portray the iteration of the character the same as Miller did. Obviously, different actor. In June, it was reported that a sequel could happen if the film managed to come close to the box office revenue of The Batman with Robert Pattinson. Problem is that movie made $771 million against a relatively modest $200 million budget.
You're not catching that one.
I don't think they're going to catch it. I mean, maybe this movie will have some legs for a while. I don't know, but I think it could, because I think it's a good movie on its own, and I kind of hope it does, because I don't want it to get shit on unfairly. But I mean, that's kind of where it's at. I don't see this movie. I don't see a sequel to this movie getting made. I don't see Ezra Miller returning, not just because of his legal issues, because they've got to move on. I mean,
yeah, because that's what maybe that's where I'm confused. Is I thought this would be the movie I was curious how it was going to end, because I'm like, this would be the one. This is your character that can just reset this whole thing if that's what you're trying to do. And I'm like, you kind of did, but didn't. I don't know what you did there. I don't know. Maybe you placed the can at just a little bit wrong of an angle, and fucking there comes George Clooney. That's how that works. Chaos working its magic.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it seems like he was the only thing that did change, I think. because Iris was still there. His dad was still. Well, that was different. He did manage to get his dad out, which we don't know if that was what was going to happen anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, let's get into a little bit of trivia as we start to close out the review here. As I pull this page up. Let's see. One thing that gives me a little bit of hope about this, that maybe we'll see Affleck back, is he was quoted as saying, in contrast to the infamously troubled production of Justice League, Ben Affleck said that he had a great time reprising his role of Bruce Wayne and Batman in this film, that he finally felt like he got it right. I don't know. Jeremy, is there hope that we get some more Ben Affleck? I mean, I feel like there is, because it didn't seem like there's bad blood between him and Safran and Gunn, but just the idea of bringing some people back and not others. I mean, he's already said it's a total reboot, but it's not a total reboot. I'm kind of confused by what Gunn has said about this at times. I don't know. What do you think about the possibility of him coming back to play at least a cameo here and there?
I would love to see him again. I mean, if we kind of reversed it, if like we had him do something like kind of like what Keaton did in this movie, I mean, I'd be okay with that. Like, he doesn't have to be like the focus of the movie. But at the same time, I mean, to be fair, I wasn't expecting Gal Gadot to come out of nowhere. I was like, oh, yeah, you're here. And then I'm like, oh, no, I'm sad, because I'm like, well, why'd you do that? Why? Why'd you bother putting her in there? Because we're going to see her for 2 minutes, and then we're never going to see her again, probably. So, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do it, why wouldn't you? I don't know. It just seems weird that it seems like the only one that we at least know confirmed is going to stick around, even though he's a different character, is Aquaman. Is Jason Momoa. So it's like it's just gonna be an elephant in the room that you're like, yeah, but he was Aquaman. Like what Tex was saying, why don't we just cut it all? Well, I'll quote Kylo Ren here: "Let the past die. Kill it if you have to." Like,
yeah,
you're still holding on.
It's all the answer.
I don't know, man. It's just kind of sad.
I would now don't get me wrong. If you were to tell me, hey, we're going to make a trilogy with Batfleck, and we're going to let him direct and make the script where he has to fight in Arkham, I'm going to throw all of my money at you as quick as I possibly can and say, here, go do it.
If you start doing some Arkham stuff, I'm going to lose my mind.
But I mean, like I said, to me, Affleck is the greatest Batman of all time. There's everybody else is fighting for second place, but the sad reality of it is, if he comes back and it's just going to feel cheap. It's going to feel like what could have been. I mean, it's, I don't, it's like seeing an ex-girlfriend that you didn't want to break up with 5 years from now. I don't want to see it. Just take it away. It didn't work out. Whatever happened. Let's just move on. Like I said, do the Kylo Ren thing. I don't know the exact quote Jeremy just did, but kill it. Let the past die.
Right? Kill it if you have to. Yeah.
Yes, kill it if you must. Whatever. Kill it and give it a few years. Let's start off fresh, clean slate. Don't screw it up this time, please.
Isn't that same movie where I want all of our guns to fire on that man? Like, I think that's the same movie. Yeah. So.
We'll touch on Michael Keaton's age real quick. Michael Keaton was 71 at the time of this film's release, making him the oldest actor to play Batman in a live-action film or TV series. The only actors who were older were Adam West, who was 88 when he voiced Batman for the final time in Batman vs. Two-Face, released in 2017, just after.
It's actually a good movie.
And Olin Soule, who was 74 when he voiced Batman for a final time in the 7th season of Super Friends in 1973, which is just stuff that I grew up on.
I love that show. I love the Super Friends cartoon.
Super Friends. Well, see, I almost thought they were going to name drop that for a second when he's like, so what should we call ourselves? We're not really like a Justice League. I'm like, are you Justice Friends? You're all friends, right?
Give me a lot. They need to make a Super Friends live action movie. That's what they need to do. With the 70s style, everything. That's what they need to do. Go be completely different from Marvel. Go make Super Friends live action.
I was going to ask that same thing that Enviro Earth said. What about Kevin Conroy? I know he was up there, but I don't think he was older.
He wasn't that old. I think maybe 60s at the most.
He was in his 60s, I think.
Yeah.
So glad I got to meet that man, by the way. Amazing.
I never got to meet him, unfortunately.
I'm glad I did at least once and got that Batman animated series poster signed by him. So happy.
He was one of the few celebrities like you never heard anything bad about. Like it was always in a good light. You know what I mean? You know, he was a good dude.
And of course, I walked up to his booth dressed as the Heath Ledger Joker, and he just went, "Nice, I like it." Like a little bit deeper, he's like, "Nice, I like it." I'm like, you're so cool. I was just instantly, the animated series just came into my head.
I said to this day, whenever I read a Batman comic, I hear Kevin Conroy's voice.
That's what I'm
There's
saying.
No other option.
You hear it, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that would have been funnier than hell if Mark Hamill showed up for no reason. That'd be fun. He was in the Flash show for a hot second. That would have been great.
That'd be great.
With his appearance in the film, Ben Affleck will have played the role of Bruce Wayne or Batman 4 times in live-action films, more than any other actor. However, Affleck is the only Batman never to have a standalone movie.
Unfortunately.
He could have. He had the script in his hand, man.
He wrote the thing. He was going to direct it, but he had his, issues, and then they had to go make freaking Vampire Boy Batman. God, I hate that movie, but whatever. I'm very jaded when it comes to this. I make no bones about it. Give me Batfleck.
This is Andy Muschietti's first non-horror movie.
Huh.
Yeah, he did Mama and the It films. Yeah.
All right.
I'm surprised he didn't throw a few more horror elements into this, with the exception of that vision that Barry has when he was knocked out or something like that, of like Reverse Flash, the bad guy Flash. With the exception of that, there wasn't really a horror element in this movie. Usually people who are known for horror will do stuff like that.
Well, even James Wan, go back, watch Aquaman. When they're in like the trench or whatever, there's some horror scenes in that. I think that weren't they going to make a trench movie as well, but it got canceled or something.
Somebody give Sanguinetti, give him a Batman who laughs. Please do it. That's your horror right there.
That's the thing. For as bad as this movie is, and it's not good, I hate this film. Andy Muschietti did well with the Batman stuff. And since he's going to direct Batman Brave and the Bold in a few years, if it ever happens, I have hope for that movie. I have hope that Muschietti's not going to screw it up too bad if we give him time to prepare his version of The Dark Knight. I think he can do well with a fresh new take, a whole new world, with a full Bat family this time. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. So I'm looking forward to it.
Greg Berlanti was at one point attached to direct this film. He subsequently went on to develop the TV series The Flash. He actually kind of ran the whole Arrowverse, but I'm kind of glad he did. Yeah. I don't know if Berlanti would have put together a decent movie. Not that he doesn't make movies, but I like the fact that he went and built the Arrowverse, because I, for the most part, enjoyed that.
Greg Berlanti's too worried about representation and virtue signaling than making a good show. Let's not forget, he ruined Flash and Arrow. So, he did what he did.
Let's see. Ray Fisher was included as Cyborg with a significant role in the film at this point, but was written out of the script in January 2021, allegedly in retaliation for his exposure of abuse at DC Films. I still don't know exactly what happened. He's never talked about it. So,
that had to do with Joss Whedon and a racism thing. He was talking about.
Well, he's still never really gone into it. He said little vague things, but whatever. I mean, I want to hear the whole story before I decide whose side I'm on. Let's see. With this being his final appearance as the character, Ben Affleck is the only live-action Batman actor to have never said the iconic line, "I'm Batman," in his entire run on screen. Yeah,
that's unfortunate. That's one thing I was hoping for. Like I was mentioning earlier, they could do, if they just one scene of Affleck and Keaton in costume focusing each other, and I'm Batman. No, I'm Batman. I mean, this whole thing was a comedy anyway, so why not throw something else in there?
They'd be sitting doing the Spider-Man thing. They're just pointing at each other.
Right. Instead of doing the pointing thing, I'm Batman. No, I'm Batman. Whatever. Or we're Batman. Do something with it. There was a lot of missed opportunities.
Like one picks one up. He's like, I'm Batman. He picks you like up. I'm Batman.
Oh, dude, Affleck Batman would murder Keaton Batman. You saw what he did in that Save Martha scene where he threw that whole warehouse battle. Keaton's Batman don't stand a chance, buddy. He's gonna break him in half. But I'm here for it.
He won that fight against Superman. I will defend that point.
100%. Yeah, he was.
To the
He
end.
had his foot on his chest, ready to make him into a shish kebab.
I like how everyone's like, but he did, and I'm like, but he kind of did though. He had that shit up on his throat. All I had to do was boop,
right.
him.
If it wasn't for Lois coming in, that's his mom or whatever.
It's like the honorable thing. It's like, when the guy gets you on the ground, he puts a blade up your neck, and he's like, yeah, I just won, but like I can respect you that I'm not going to kill you. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah,
right.
He won the fight.
Right.
So.
Did you guys know that Andy Muschietti was actually in the movie?
I did not.
He makes a cameo at the end of the film. He's the man eating the hot dog outside the courtroom. Barry steals his hot dog and he looks confused.
Really?
Andy Muschietti.
That's funny.
I didn't recognize him there. Oh.
That's funny.
Well, Andy Muschietti, he's a big name right now, but he's not like Spielberg. When I say Spielberg, you bring up an image of who Steven Spielberg is. Same with like George Lucas or Ron Howard or something like that. But Muschietti is not one of those guys that's out there like that. That and some of these other directors, they're known to either put themselves in their movies or do little bitty cameos here and there for shits and giggles for friends. So, and Muschietti he's still a bit on the come up a little bit, but I think he's fully arrived now.
Muschietti's a solid director. I mean, but I don't hold this movie against him. I mean, he's the 7th or 8th director that's been at the helm of this ship. I mean, at this point, they were just struggling to get anything on screen. So I don't really, as bad as this film is, I'm not going to crucify him for this one. I'm still going to give him a fair shake because he is an excellent horror director. Go watch Mama and It Chapter 1. It Chapter 2 is it's not great. But both of those are pretty good. So go check those out.
There were some big names where they're running for Nora Allen. Julia Roberts, Julianne Moore, Vera Farmiga, Kate Winslet, and Hilary Swank were all considered for the role of Nora Allen. Boy, that's a fucking murderer's row of some actresses right there.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, when it comes to Nora, how well do y'all know the comic book Flashpoint Paradox?
Well, I mean, I know stuff. I haven't read them.
Don't you feel like this film was kind of cheap, not knowing who actually killed her? Because obviously it was a Reverse Flash that does it.
Well, that's one of the questions that I was kind of left with afterwards. Well,
yeah.
Here's the thing: is I imagine that because in the comics it's Reverse Flash that kills her.
It's like if you didn't know that though, it's like
yeah. I mean, for all we know.
What?
Well, I mean, think about it this way: in most versions of Batman, it's not anybody important that kills Bruce's parents. It's just some thug. They changed that to be in the Keaton in the first one in Batman '89. They changed that to be the Joker. They've altered it. I mean, even in the Joker movie, it's just at the end of it when you see them walking into the alley and you don't actually see the shit goes down, but you know what happens. It's just a couple of thugs that follow them in. It's not anybody who's significant in the larger lore of everything DC. So maybe it just wasn't anybody. I mean, that is kind of a question that I had. I mean, was it Reverse Flash? I mean, because there was no lightning that I saw when it happened. Until when Barry got there and started fucking shit up. But I mean, so maybe it was just a home invasion, a robbery gone wrong, and his dad just happened to be at the store when it happened. He was upstairs, and maybe it was something that simple.
It just feels so cheap, though, doesn't it? I mean, just some random guy,
I imagine that they probably planned on it like that from the beginning as part of a plan for a potential sequel. So maybe it wasn't going to be a big part of this movie, but at some point down the line, either in this sequel or maybe even our Justice League movie, who knows, that they would have said he would have found some evidence that it was a speedster that killed his mom, and that would have been a whole nother movie that they would have made around that, and not just making it a nothing thing. But I mean,
because it's like now you've dipped your toe into the whole like, oh, I can go back in time thing, and it's like, oh, you just screwed yourself because now it's the Reverse Flash coming in and killing your mom. So
yeah. So maybe it was just a home invasion gone wrong. Maybe it really is that simple. I mean,
I don't know.
It is a question that I have, but I don't think that question was meant to be answered in this movie. Or maybe look, look at Spider-Man. We've never seen Ben Parker get killed in this version in the Tom Holland Spider-Man.
Yeah.
In the MCU, yeah.
In the MCU, it's like Uncle Ben's just gone. He's never been around, and we end up getting that scene at the end.
They killed Aunt May.
Yeah. Yeah, we end up getting that scene from Aunt May with the whole great power, great responsibility line and all that. So she kind of became that character, but we've never seen Uncle Ben get killed in the Tom Holland stuff. And I got to be honest, I haven't missed it. I mean, I've only seen it happen 400 or 500 times between cartoon.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
or whatever.
The MCU Spider-Man, his whole origin takes 3 films, and you don't even realize it until you get to the end of the 3rd film, and you're like, oh crap, okay, now we actually get Spider-Man. But it's just, I don't know, it felt odd to not have I mean, yes, we see Dad freed innocent because, when Flash puts that can high up on the shelf so he has to look up to see, that's how they clear him or whatever. But it feels odd. I mean, you may be right. It's just an untied knot that we're never going to get. But I don't know. It just felt weird not having that in a Flashpoint paradox story. Just a gripe, I guess.
Let's see. This premiered on the 10th anniversary of Man of Steel, which came out in 2013. It's like you feel like the DCEU has been around forever, but it just feels like we haven't gotten anything out of it.
I can still remember. I can tell you the exact theater I was at when I saw Man of Steel for the first time. And it wasn't one that I go to regularly. I really enjoy that film.
Yeah, this was
what it came to.
This was actually originally set to release on June 23rd, 2023, which would have been the 34th anniversary of the release of Batman 1989, but it was moved up 1 week.
Wow.
That kind of wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Yeah.
That would have been a nice tie-in. I mean, why not make it on the anniversary of Batman 89 since pretty much Michael Keaton carries the last part of the movie anyway. Let's see. Now to get into some of the spoilery stuff. I already mentioned the Batcave. The alternate Barry finds a cloth bag that laughs. This is a Joker bag that was found at Jack Nicholson's body at the end of Batman 89. That was pretty fun. Let's see. During the multiverse collision, this is going to get into a little more detail. Hopefully some stuff that we missed or we haven't already mentioned. The universes of George Reeves' Adventures of Superman from 1952, Christopher Reeve's Superman from 78, and Adam West's Batman from 66 can be seen. Also included is Nicolas Cage's Superman Lives project that never saw the light of day. It was going to be directed by Tim Burton in 98 and got so far into pre-production that teaser posters had already been designed. It was eventually canceled 3 weeks before the filming was supposed to start, ironically due to the box office failure of Batman and Robin in 1997.
Well,
yeah. That's true.
I need to go buy this DVD. The late great John Schnepp, who I watched on Movie Talk forever.
The documentary of it.
Made the documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened. I really want to go. I really need to go buy that. I've been telling myself for years I need to get it. Maybe I'll get it this weekend. But
I've seen the documentary. It's pretty cool.
But yeah, I need to go buy that. Let's see. Oh, the writing on Supergirl's prison uniforms reads Samaya Opasnaya, not a Russian, so if I'm mispronouncing it, I'm sorry, which is Russian for most dangerous. Duh.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of the things I kind of dug about the whole scene where they find her is like when they find her deep in that cave, she's obviously not getting any of Earth's yellow sun, so it obviously has her in a very weakened state. She looks very emaciated. But really, as soon as she goes out in the sun, it's almost instantaneous that she just flips the switch and turns it on and starts murking people.
I was wondering, I'm like, not only is she not getting any power from the sun, I was like, did they line that bitch with kryptonite? Because, I mean, she was like malnourished. She looked like she was struggling to hold on to life. I was like, damn, I'd be pissed off too. I'm not going to lie. I thought she was, like Frank said in the very beginning, I thought she was going to turn there for a second. But,
Well, I mean, when you go back and look at what Superman looked like in either the animated film or the book, he looked even worse than she did there. You know what I mean? So that, I thought looked right. I mean,
yeah.
A Kryptonian under a red sun is nothing. It's us, so nothing they can do about it.
For the last battle with the Kryptonians, the younger Barry wears one of Michael Keaton's Batman cowls. While wearing the cowl, he turns his head to older Barry, but the cowl is distorted against his face. this is a nod to how Keaton was unable to turn his neck while wearing his Batman suit, and instead had to turn his whole body in order to face a different direction.
Did he like rip it a little bit? Like, oh, so he can turn his head now. Yay.
Yeah. Well, I just figured over time he redesigned it, which was kind of cool. But
I thought the joke, and I was like, oh, not the ears. He cut the ears off the cowl too. And I'm like, is that a joke? Because like I've heard when they were filming the Keaton Batman, he couldn't get in the Batmobile because of the ears. They had a suit that had the ears cut off so he could actually be in the cockpit. Like that's funny. I mean, that's the iconic thing, man. He's got the real tall ears, but
I've never been a fan. I've always been a fan of the shorter ears. I never liked the taller ones. To me, it always looked odd.
It's very striking and it's very iconic. I mean, like when you saw him come up the back of his cowl, I was like you know who it is. I do like Affleck's. It's like it's pretty streamlined. You don't need to be, you know.
Well, like I said, I've always been partial to the
Frank
Miller Batman. I like the Frank Miller Dark Knight Returns Batman. It's got the shorter ears,
the real big cowl or the big
with the big chest out.
That symbol, yeah.
That's always been my favorite Batman. That elder Bruce Wayne with that costume. I think that looks. So I don't know. It's just me though. That's just my Batman, you know.
See, Nicolas Cage's first live-action appearance as Superman in the movie that never was, as he was slated to appear in Tim Burton's Superman Lives, that was later canceled. He has now played 2 of 3 of his dream roles. He has now played Dracula, which he played in Renfield just recently, Superman, and Captain Nemo. And Captain Nemo, he said, were his dream roles. So he's played 2 of the 3. In 2018, he announced that he was too old to portray Superman. Honestly, I think
I don't think so.
I think it would have been fun to have had him do a quick cameo that was more than just him fighting the quick spider. I think it would have been fun to have had him show up for a minute, maybe crack a joke. I think that would have been cool. I honestly, I never liked the way that he looked, because you can go on YouTube and find the videos of him doing the costume tests and stuff like that with him.
It looks weird. He's got the rainbow suit with the wires in it.
Costume looked on him.
Yeah,
but, I mean, if you put him in like a decent suit, I could have done it with him showing up, spitting out a few lines, and flying away. That would have been fun.
I think they should take the Superman Lives movie that they were going to make, do an animated film about it. You know, the thing would sell like hotcakes. Everybody, especially now that they've showed Nick Cage's Superman, and DC always kills it with the animated movies.
You just have
Superman Lives,
go on
whatever, and have him voice the character. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that'd be great. I'd buy it. You know.
You guys ready for a deep cut? You guys will get this, but hopefully some people watching will get it as well. When the timeline featuring Nicolas Cage as Superman is shown during the multiverse collapse, he's facing off against a giant spider. Jeremy, you know where I'm going with this?
Maybe.
Have you ever watched An Evening with Kevin Smith that came out in the early 2000s?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Wild Wild West.
Okay. This is a deep cut for those who followed the production period of Tim Burton's ultimately shelved Superman Lives, where producer John Peters insisted to screenwriter Kevin Smith, when he was brought in for revisions, that the third act feature the Man of Steel battle, the fiercest killers in the insect kingdom. Peters would eventually get his giant spider years later in the form of the steampunk spider tank in Wild Wild West. You guys have heard this story, right?
I was gonna say, I'm like, that thing I shared yesterday or something was like, with Kevin Smith, they're gonna do a reading of the script, I think, or some shit. And I'm like, that's so goddamn funny. I would watch the shit out of him reading the thing for Superman Lives.
Oh yeah.
Like,
well, not just that, but he also said that he had a copy of the Schumacher cut of Batman Forever, which I don't buy. That's an old rumor that's been around for 20 years. I don't think that he actually does. But, I mean, I don't know. He said he was going to review it after he reviewed Flash. I don't know if that ever happened or not. I'm not for sure.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, when they were going to make this, the producer wanted now you can actually go on YouTube and find the clip of An Evening with Kevin Smith where he talks about this. He had made some revisions, and the producer said, he said something effective, I don't want Superman to wear a cape, I don't want him to fly, and I want him to fight a giant spider in the third act. And Kevin Smith's reaction was, well, I can work with the spider. He's like, but no cape and no flying? He's like, right. He's kind of not Superman at that point. And so he eventually just kind of like wrote some shit and gave it to the guy, took his check, was like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm not really happy with what I wrote. And then eventually this guy went on to make Wild Wild West. In the end, he fights the giant mechanized spider. So the guy got his wish. But Kevin Smith tells the story a lot better than me. So go find that clip on YouTube.
Oh,
go find the entire
first. Yeah, I'll say.
Smith.
First of all, watch the whole thing.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. Just I love hearing that guy talk about filmmaking, just his experiences. I could talk all day. But
I miss Fat Kevin Smith. I don't like the new skinny.
I like him both.
Fat Kevin Smith was better.
Well, I mean, being that I just met him, I mean, he's still a super cool dude. He's super chill.
Yeah, his creativity has not changed.
And Jay Muse is exactly what you fucking think. I think I texted Frank. I'm like, dude, like 5 feet from me, Jay Muse is just rolling around on a fucking little motorized suitcase, just being Jay Muse. And he just goes into the bathroom. I'm like, he's 2 feet from me, just fucking around, being himself. I'm like, that's awesome.
Right.
I even asked him. I was like, Jason, was that you on the little roller suitcase? He's like, hell yeah, man, this thing is fucking awesome. He's like pulling underneath the table. I was like, showing it to me. I was like, okay, you do you, man.
When Barry is phasing through the wall of his apartment to get him and Iris beers, he goes through a poster of Raquel Welch from the movie 1 Million Years BC in 1966. This is the same poster that Tim Robbins has up in his cell in the Shawshank Redemption to cover up the hole that he's been tunneling through the wall to escape.
I wondered if that was supposed to be the joke. I'm like, is that a Shawshank
wow.
joke? I feel like it is.
I didn't notice that.
I didn't even notice the poster. I'm going to have to go back and watch again.
I noticed the poster immediately. I was like, and when he went through the wall, I'm like, is that really? Okay. I saw it.
Then again, I haven't seen Shawshank in probably 20 years. It's been a while.
I recommend come up here and visit the prison. I mean, me and Frank are here, but whatever. Come visit the prison.
I'll just go to the prison and come home. Forget y'all.
You have to. But to be fair, you get to where it's at. You got to come back by us, so it's gonna be awkward if you just.
I'll call you as I'm leaving the state. Like, oh yeah, I was just up there. What are you talking about?
We're like a half hour from the border. I'll still catch your ass. Don't think I won't.
No, of course, if I ever make it to the area, of course we're hanging out and getting as crazy as possible. Of course.
Hey, Halloween season's coming up.
Yeah, I'm telling you what.
You know where I'll be.
That's the good trivia from IMDb. There's not really a whole lot on Wikipedia that's worth noting. At least nothing that we haven't already got into. But that seems like a pretty good place to start wrapping things up. I mean, I don't know, Jeremy. Any final thoughts on the film? I'm not going to bother talking about the post-credit scene because I don't think there was really much value to it. I mean, it was funny.
No.
For those of you who've seen the movie, I mean, Barry's at a bar with Aquaman, and Aquaman's shit-faced hammered, and he's trying to explain to him the multiverse, which was kind of funny. But he's just like, yeah, whatever, and he's drunk as shit and acting up, and he's like, go get me some more beer. Gives him his ring. I didn't get a good look at the ring. I'm gonna have to look at this again. I haven't been able to find the post-credit scene on YouTube just yet. But I mean, was there anything significant about the ring that you guys noticed?
When he goes to the end?
Yeah.
I think it's just Atlantean treasure. I don't think it's anything specific.
I don't know. It seems like a very Aquaman thing to do. He's like, is this Atlantean treasure? He's like, yeah, tell him that. I'm like, he doesn't give a shit. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, but he sleeps in a puddle in the street. Come on. I understand it's supposed to be. I understand it's supposed to be comedy. I don't know. That felt just so stupid. I didn't like it. I don't know. But to be fair, I was in a very grumpy mood by the end of this movie, and I probably would have hated it.
He was still reeling from Clooney. He was.
I was still reeling from 2 Ezra Millers and a George Clooney. I could not have been in a worse mindset.
He was fanboying over Clooney. He was like, Clooney.
Oh my God, General Hospital.
Roseanne. That's how old I am. Hey. I watched Clooney on Roseanne back in the 90s.
Yeah. I used to watch Roseanne. That was a good show.
But I don't know. Jeremy, any final thoughts on the film from you before we get out of here?
Batman was the best part of the movie. I enjoyed that thoroughly, and I am very curious to see, like I said, by the end of the year, maybe we'll have more answers, because kind of left me hanging a little bit. I don't know.
Tex, any final thoughts from you before we get out of here?
The Flash sucks. The best part for Batfleck inside. I was glad to see him back.
Michael Shannon.
Other than that, don't watch this garbage. Go watch the anime.
I disagree with Tex. Go watch this garbage. If for no other reason to support the
See, on this show, On this
He
show,
says
you get
garbage. You're
representation
comparing
of both.
You're comparing to Conroy. That's not even fair. Come on.
Just I mean, if for no other reason, just to go support your local theater. But I mean, look, I've liked Ezra Miller as the Flash. I like the way they portrayed him as kind of the obnoxious older brother to the rest of the Justice League. That worked out fine for me. That said, I'm not going to cry a single tear if they announce tomorrow that Ezra Miller's not coming back. I feel like for several reasons, his personal troubles notwithstanding, it's time to reboot the DCEU. It hasn't been successful either critically or financially up to this point. You got to do something different. I'm not saying they have to compare themselves to Marvel, but Marvel's beating your ass for a reason, and a lot of it is the creativity, and the creativity hasn't been there. Hopefully there's going to be some different creative. Not that I haven't liked a lot of stuff that has come out from the DCEU, but it all needs to be put together a lot differently. There's a lot of movies that I think are great concepts, are just bad movies. And a lot of the DCEU up to this point, the Snyderverse has kind of been just that, fantastic concepts, just not very well put together. I'll give Justice League a little bit of a pass because Snyder left towards the end of the production. You had Joss Whedon come in and take over. That was why that was a really uneven film. I think the Snyder cut of Justice League was better. It still wasn't what I wanted, but it was better. But yeah, I mean, we need to just move on from Ezra Miller now. I hope they will. I hope that Ezra Miller gets better and gets his life right, because he is a human being, and I do value his life, as fucked up as he is. But again, Batman.
Well, we can sacrifice his. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, Batman. Michael Keaton does essentially kind of steal the movie in the last half. So does Sasha Calle, who was fantastic.
And they brought back the '89 Batman theme, and I was kind of losing my mind a little bit when he was flying around.
That was pretty awesome.
That was awesome.
But yeah, I mean, it was a good movie. Look, don't listen to haters. Go see a movie. If you hate the movie after you see it, great. But I know, Anani was just in the chat saying that, he gave us a thumbs up and don't want to waste his time and money on the Flash because of Ezra Miller. I get it. I totally, that's a totally valid point of view. I mean, look, a lot of people in Hollywood have gotten exposed over the last 5 to 10 years, but hopefully that will help them clean up their act. But we don't know if that's going to be the case or not. But I think it's a fair movie. I think that you should give it a chance. If for no other reason, if you're a fan of the Snyderverse, this is going to be them winding up the Snyderverse. So, watch it to kind of say goodbye to everything Zack Snyder started. We'll get the official goodbye probably in the next couple of movies. By the end of the year, we're going to officially be done with the Snyderverse. And in the next year and a half, in the next year and a half after that, we'll have Superman Legacy, and then we'll be into the new DCU, as it's going to be called. No E. But I don't know. I say give it a chance. There's a lot about this movie to like. There's a lot to not like. But I think 70% of this movie is pretty high quality. It doesn't get weighed down by the 30% that's not. The CGI is kind of spotty. I wish it would have been a little bit better. I do have a hard time liking Ezra Miller as a person, but as an actor, I can like him just fine. Actually, Tim Septa was in here earlier talking about him and Perks Being a Wallflower. What the hell's the name of that movie? We need to talk about Kevin. He is very, very good in that movie. He's been good in a lot of stuff. So as an actor, I think he's a talent. But I mean, go watch the movie. There's a lot about this movie to like. And look, the audience scores say it. 84% of audience members like this. I mean, and 66% of certified critics on Rotten Tomatoes like it too. That's not a bad score at all. I mean, by comparison right now, and the movie hasn't officially released yet, but by comparison right now, the new Indiana Jones movie is at like a 50-something. Yeah. And we're talking about Indiana Jones, who's a way more significant character in cinematic history than the Flash has ever been. And that one's coming up here the next week or so too. So
yeah, we're gonna have fun with that one.
Yeah, but
that review's gonna have a lot of drinking involved. I gotta say that.
Yeah, so I mean, go watch the film, judge it on its merits. And, give it a chance. I mean, like I said, for no other reason to bid a fond farewell to Zack Snyder's DCEU. It's good to see Affleck back in the cowl and as Bruce Wayne. If this is the last time, it was great. I'm one of the people that has been eating a lot of crow since, because when they first announced him, I was all over Twitter like better Batman than Affleck hashtags and shit like that.
Same. I was pissed.
I was not happy about it, but when I first saw him, I was like, holy shit, he's actually really good at this. And so I'm going to be eating platefuls of crow every day for the rest of my life over that one. But, it's like I said, it's a good way to say goodbye to everything that Zack Snyder was doing. This is the final. Yeah, this is the final act for the Snyderverse. Go and enjoy it. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. We very much appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. To my wonderful co-host for being so awesome. We'll have Lady Cora back probably for the next review, I hope. She is in the process of moving from one state to another right now, so that's why she's been kind of sporadic on here. She is definitely
Cora doesn't exist in this timeline. I thought we erased her.
Oh, did we erase her? Did she die on her way from
Krypton? Whenever I ran back, that was one of the things that got changed, so she won't be here anymore.
Next time what you got to do is you got to keep her and get rid of Joe Biden.
I tried. I was trying, but come on, man, you can only do so much.
I'll keep Cora. We'll get rid of Joe Biden, but yeah, we'll have Cora back on when she's free. But like I said, she's got some stuff going on right now. She's in the middle of moving, so but we'll have her back on whenever she's available. And to my amazing co-host, my header life mate Jeremy, what do you got going on the internet, my friend?
I got this going on. Whenever we decide to, review new movies like this, usually maybe early midweek, or whenever Frank wants to pull me into a game of Fortnite, or Casey comes and crashes my game of Fortnite, whatever the hell, he tends to do that now.
Right.
And we'll be back tomorrow talking about. We're going to go on the flip side here and talk about Marvel, and some Secret Invasion whatnot's going on. Because holy crap, I just from what I saw, I'm already kind of like, okay, this is.
I haven't watched it yet, so I know nothing. I don't know any spoilers, so I'm going in blind.
I won't say anything, but I'm like, okay, I kind of what I expected out of it, and I'm like, I'm here for this. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be intense. It's got a lot of potential. I've been watching somebody do like reviews on weirdly, one of my favorite game series is Mafia, and I'm like, I got the definitive editions, and I really want to play them again. So I don't know, maybe take a deep dive into that game again. Both of them. Maybe even the third one, because there's supposed to be a prequel coming out. So Aaron, you're talking like
break the tie. I'm voting bat nipples. So there you go.
Well,
there you go.
Well, say which one bothers you more. I'm like the bat nipples don't, so I said the nose. Like you know what I mean. My vote's
the bat nipples killed Batman for a decade. I think that one wins by default. So.
But that's kind of all I got going on.
And to our man Tex, the shape from the Lone Star State. What do you got going on, my friend?
Well, this week's recommendation, once again, I went to Tubi because Tubi is awesome and you should all be watching movies there. Caution nothing. I found a trilogy that I'm only 2 parts through, but the films are called Malevolence. M-A-L-V-O, Malevolence.
Malevolence?
Basically, yes. Well, Malevolence, but Malevolence.
Oh, I thought, okay.
Why does it sound like some gay porn horror?
That's what I thought initially, but
it's still Pride Month.
The first one is tremendous. It's a love letter to 70s and 80s horror. It's got homages to Texas Chainsaw, to Halloween, the originals, Friday the 13th, with a sound design that's very much like a a Nightmare on Elm Street. The first film it's a bank robbery gone wrong that turns into a slasher film. The second film in this series features a Miss Alexandria Daddario, so I know Jeremy's going to go watch. But go watch these Malevolence movies. They're actually pretty good. They start kind of slow, but good gore, good kills. Go check them out. So that's what I've got going on.
And it looks like I had to break the tie for the poll. A couple of people voted, but it split those polls. So I voted for bat nipples. So 53% of you said you were more bothered by bat nipples than one vote.
53% of the people are smart. The other ones need to learn. The other ones need to learn.
Pretty close to 50-50, but 53% of you said, a total of 7 of you said bat nipples bothers you more than the puck nose. So that's the result of the poll. As for me, you can find me back here a couple times a week doing different reviews. Tomorrow, me and Jeremy and Tex and maybe Cora, if she's available, if she's watched it, we'll be giving you our breakdown of Secret Invasion Episode 1, an interesting episode. I watched it this morning. I'll probably watch it again later tonight or tomorrow at some point just to kind of get the full gist of it all. An interesting episode. A lot of setup. It was just the first episode of 6, so there's a lot of shit going on. One significant thing that happens right at the end of the episode that was interesting.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
But yeah, we'll be talking about that tomorrow. So come check us out.
Iron Man dies? Holy crap! When did that happen?
Again?
That's insane. Wow.
About a snap and a half ago, that's when it happened.
Well, I mean, we're into the scroll now, so we're into the shape shifting stuff. So anything pointing into you. But thank you all.
Everyone's a suspect.
Everyone's a suspect, damn it. Thank you all for coming out. We very much appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow night to break down Secret Invasion. And next week, I believe, at some point, we're going to be doing Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, and then back to some retro reviews or some other stuff. There's lots of stuff I want to get to now that we're going primarily on reviews. So we will get to that. When we get to that. Thinking about all the people who are down there in the sub looking at the Titanic. I mean, it's looking pretty dire, but I hope that turns out as well as it can.
Hold your
Think
breath.
about them and their families. Yeah.
Sorry.
And we will see you
If
guys.
y'all can hear us right now, breathe shallow breaths.
Yeah.
Just breathe shallowly. You'll be fine.
Yeah. We hope it works out. We'll see you guys next time. Adios.
Bye-bye.
I mean, come on. Nick Cage, a better Nick Cage cameo would have killed us.
They should have had Nick Cage's Dracula up here somehow in the timeline.
You want
Nick Cage Joker? That would have been fun.
Ooh, give me Nick Cage Joker yet.
He is kind of
Nick
wild.
Cage Joker that just
Yeah.
even